Evening, Draftaholics, and welcome to Draft Punks. My name is Sam, now with face cam. What the hell is this? This is weird. And I'm joined not by Adrian Walker. Now, don't worry, both of you Adrian fans, he'll be back next week. Instead, today I'm joined by a very special guest, Pro Tour March of the Machine quarterfinalist and all-round awesome dude, Simon Nielsen. Welcome to Draft Punks.
Hello! I am the Simon Nielsen, coming all the way from Copenhagen, Denmark.
Simon, I really appreciated that when we had this video planned, you then decided to top 8 a Pro Tour.
Yeah, it was so funny. Like, we were talking about, like, it would be really cool if we could review my draft, but the only way that would be possible is if I, went 7-1 on day 1 and then made it into the feature draft. And so I just went ahead and did that, for the good of the content.
Look, someone's got to put the effort in on this channel, so it might as well be you.
Yeah.
So the plan for today is Simon is going to savagely roast, professionally review Reid Duke's draft from day 1 of the Pro Tour. We're going to be going super in-depth for all of you crazy draft nerds. And then we're super lucky because of the fortuitous circumstance that happened on day 2. Do you want to run us through what happened there, Simon?
Well, yeah, not only did I get into the feature draft, I, of course, was not the person on camera because we had superstar Nathan Stoyer in there, but I was seated right next to Nathan and passing to him. So this means that since I could recall all of my picks in the order I made them, and if we have then the pack without my pick being passed to Nate on camera, we could actually reconstruct my entire draft viewer. It took some work and some watching the draft video in 0.25% times speed. But yeah, we got there.
That's it. I had to do the same thing for Reid's draft, so now I know what Marshall Sutcliffe sounds like in 0.5 speed.
Yes.
So, anyway, I'm really keen to hear what Simon has to say about both of these drafts, particularly yours. So please hang around for that one, dear viewer. Mm-hmm. Simon's draft was super interesting. If Adrian had sent me that, I would have thought that was pretty typical of Adrian.
Oh, interesting. That's very funny. I feel like it's like someone is the best I've drafted ever.
Yes. Okay. This is just telling me I know absolutely nothing about drafts. So I'm just going to shut up and let you talk.
Or maybe Adrian's just a god. Have you considered that?
No. That's not allowed. No, don't say things like that. The comments will never let me live that down. Now, while we're watching our drafters get ready, I want everyone to know that Simon offers one-on-one Magic coaching, where you can go through your own drafts, or if you're a constructed player, you can run through your constructed decks or games. I'm not going to plug what you're going to get out of that too hard, because honestly, you're going to get a great taste of Simon's analytical approach as we go through this video. So let's not delay anymore. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. So here we've got pod one, feature pod on day 1.
Feature pod on day 1. Yeah, just a random pod that he chose because it had Reid Duke in it.
What a coincidence.
Reid is beautifully seated here between Autumn Bichette and Marco Camiluzzi, 2 excellent players as well. So definitely an interesting seat. And starts by revealing.
So do you want to run us? Do you want to run us through what's happening here? Because this is quite different, especially if you're mostly used to arena drafting.
Yeah. So the issue with double face cards is that you could see when they're opened and picked, and you're not used to you're not allowed to see what other drafters are doing. So either what you can do is cover them all up completely, and give the boosters sleeve beforehand, or you can do this where everyone gets the full info of what the double face cards are open, and then they're sleeved. So that you can't see, even if you don't want to look at the person next to you what they've picked, it's very easy to out of the corner of your eye see, oh, there's a blue double face card being picked, and you get info you weren't supposed to get. So instead of making it about whoever has the widest eyes, we just do this where now everyone has access to the same info, and we sleeve up the packs so then there's no more info going on, and it definitely makes it very interesting in terms of how the draft process actually works in terms of strategy and so on.
Yeah, because in my own paper drafts that I do at my LGS every week, obviously we don't go to this sort of effort, so we can see the DFCs that people either side of us take, and I found that had a massive difference on how the draft goes compared to arena, because if I see my neighbor taking black and green DFCs, then I'm just going to stay right out of those colors. Did you have a similar thing here, or was it not quite that clear cut?
Yes, but not quite. So, since you know you do have time to like remember what the DFCs are in your vicinity, you can actually see, oh wait, there's a double face card missing from this pack. I remember that is a red card. So now I know that one of my two neighbors took the red card. So you can definitely draft with that knowledge. We don't know always exactly who it is. When we get to like pick 7 or so, like you will not know who took the card. But if you're really smart, you can maybe like remember that, oh, that was not a very good green DFC that was open that's missing here. So that means it must have been taken pretty late, because obviously no one is like third picking this bad battle or whatever it is. So yeah, you can definitely like gauge something from it. In this case, we have Reid opening the Invasion of Fiora, which is an absolute bomb. And which you see right there. And 2 seats to his left, there was Brendan Crawford, a fellow Australian player, opened Elish Norn, which is also a white bomb. So it's kind of interesting how that actually impacts the draft.
Yeah, that's really interesting, right? And we're going to see that kind of play out a little bit, right? So if you saw your 2 to your right crack an Elish Norn, does that mean you are going to avoid white kind of at all costs, or is there a bit of a balancing act that's going to happen there?
There is actually 2 things really interesting with this. So first of all, the Elish Norn 2 to your right would normally that you might think that it means, oh, you got to stay out of white. But the thing is that actually, like, the people right next to Brendan Crawford are way more incentivized to stay out of white, and they're most likely going to do it, which means that like it's actually pretty like. It's actually not that unlikely that there will be, like, Brendan will create a pocket of people who are not drafting white except for himself. And of course, you can have a couple white drafters on, like, one half of the table. So it's not like I would actively move into white because of it, but it's really important to keep in mind that pay attention to if white is open, because it could actually be flowing because of your unique positioning here. So I definitely wouldn't shy away from it. The other thing is that, like, normally when you open a black bomb, like the Invasion of Fiora, you're incentivized to just cut out all the black cards from your pack so that you end up with, like, making sure that you're going to be in a black deck. Pack 2 is going to be great, and you can continue from there. But the fact that the invasion was revealed means that your neighbors to your left, in this case Marco Camillucci, already knows that you took a black card. So you don't actually need to, like, completely dry out every black spell from every pack, because you've already sent a pretty clear signal. Of course, like, if you like keep sending good black cards, Marco might think, oh, okay, Reid actually moved off of black, or there's enough black cards going that we can both be black. But you're actually like not as incentivized to go super deep on a single color because you revealed the invasion. So, and I think those strategic thoughts, I'm not sure. I think Reid would disagree with what I just said, at least based on how he's drafting. But I don't know. I think it makes sense. And I think it kind of like derails this draft a little bit here in the early pack.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see that. Just before we move off pack 1, one thing I'm kind of curious on from like a pro tour drafting perspective is when you look at a pack like that, obviously Reid just slammed the Invasion of Fiora, no thinking required. When you look through the rest of the pack, are you really kind of committing everything to memory, trying to figure out what certain things are going to mean on the wheel, what kind of signals you're sending, any of that sort of thing, or is that not so much on your mind?
Yeah, so some of the best drafters might have a photographic memory, can actually remember everything. Most PT drafters cannot. A lot actually don't pay that much attention to the wheel, but I think what's interesting to note is that the good cards you're passing, so you have at least somewhat of an idea of what the people you're passing to might go into, in terms of like setting up a good pack 2, and you want to pay attention to potential cards that can wheel that are relevant. So I try to count out like 7-ish cards that would probably be picked, and then I look for like there might be like some typical archetype defining cards that might wheel, such as like, I don't know, the Boomtown Beatstick could be a good example of this, where it's something that's really important to keep in mind, because if you have a pack and you notice there's a Boomtown Beatstick, if it doesn't come around, you know someone else is up to doing the like red scrappy stuff. But if it does come around, like, you can also kind of plan for it, right? That like, okay, well, this one might come back, and then you can kind of make a decision based on that. And then if you see it not come around, you can then make sure to move off that train. So
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's move on. I want more roasting of Reid Duke.
Yeah, you see here. There's still a lot of good cards in this pack. Something that I'm noticing here is the Aki Scrap Jumper. The Scrap Jumper, which I think is also quite good, especially with the Boom Tom Beat Stick. On our team, Team Handshake,
goes into that.
Yeah, our general approach to this draft format was like, battles are overrated. We just want to draft cheap cards and velocity, and just mow through our deck and take advantage of our deck being a lot of cheap cards.
Okay, on to pack 2. So, okay, Simon, you are on the Draft Punks, and I need you to know that there is only one acceptable pick.
I know what you would pick here, Sam. It's all right. You don't need to defend it. Luckily for us, Reid is a reasonable human being and is not considering Niv Mizzet here.
This is not okay. No, I think he probably just missed it. You know, sometimes you just...
Yeah, I mean, it has a weird border, you know.
Fancy borders. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we've got the... Reid's pulled the Gift of Completion and the Traumatic Revelation to the front, and we've also got the Dusk Legion Duelist.
Yes.
So I guess this is our first kind of test of the color tension in this draft, right? Because Reid really wants to hang on to black for the Invasion of Fiora and is pressured to keep out of white because of the Elish Norn. So even though I would think that the Dusk Legion Duelist is the most powerful card here, he might stay away from that. But we also actually know what Autumn picked from this pack.
Yeah, there's at least a double face card missing here. So the issue is that we didn't get to see the entire table's reveals, which is very unfortunate. But because this would mean that like Reid actually knows exactly the card that Autumn took, because that's a card that's missing from this pack. So looking at Autumn's deck, it could be a Kenra's Spell Spear, but it could also be something that you didn't end up playing, like a blue card or whatnot. So it's kind of hard to say. For now, for the analysis, I think it's just best to ignore it. But if Reid does something weird, maybe he's actually excused because he knows something that we don't know.
Yeah. So do you like... I guess if you didn't know that there was a white card taken just to your right, would you be on the Dusk Legion Duelist here?
Yeah, I mean, if Autumn took the Kenra's Spell Spear, that's like, also not a white card regardless. You definitely know the Elish Norn was picked to your right, but as I explained earlier, you don't need to be super afraid of white for that reason. The thing is though that like, I think I would still prefer a black card over a white card, even though I don't think I need to cut black. I think the Gift of Completion and the Dusk Legion Duelist are pretty close in power level. The Duelist isn't good in every white deck. Yeah, it does need a lot of backup. Literally, the mechanic backup. And I don't know, the Gift of Completion is just super solid. So I think I would actually like go with Reid here. But the fact that Autumn was not willing to pick a white card does send kind of a signal that maybe he would be safe to move into white because Autumn would be avoiding it. So I would definitely keep that in the back of my mind. Like if white keeps flowing, I'm not going to be afraid to jump onto it in Reid's position here.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that as I was watching this draft, right? That because Autumn saw that the Elish Norn was open directly to her right, she's going to stay out of white. And so
that's almost
going to be quite a bit of that flowing. Yeah. Okay, so pack 3. All right, so we've got a Nezumi Informant, a Seal from Existence, an Elspeth Smite. I don't think we're playing 10 mana Jin Gitaxias.
You would, right? I mean, you would have Niv and Jin Gitaxias in your pile right now, and you would be over the moon.
And Yorion, so I don't deck myself.
Oh, yes, that's coming later, maybe, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you just die when you cast the 10 mana Jin Gitaxias.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
It is kind of interesting here. So now we see a really good white card, another pretty solid white card, that were not picked up by... this was in the Elish Norn pack. So you obviously...
Yes.
So you know that Elish Norn was taken out of this pack. You know Autumn took something else, but both double face cards are present, I believe.
Yeah.
But the signal you have is that Autumn passed the Seal of Existence, which, it seems pretty likely that she would try to avoid white. The Seal of Existence is also I think significantly better than the black option here, which is the Nezumi Informant.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was thinking, right? Because third picking a Nezumi Informant I mean, that's really kind of staking your claim on black in a really firm manner. And
I think third picking it makes sense if Invasion of Fiora was not double-faced and wasn't revealed. Because then it's just so important that you just like dry out all the black cards from the pack. Yeah. But the issue is that like Reid doesn't need to do this because his neighbors already know that he's probably taking black cards. So I think you just take the seal here. The neighbors are not going to read that as a signal that they were past the Ravenous Rat's fourth pick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, you just take the seal. Of course, that like doesn't mean lock you into black-white, but it's definitely an option that's open to you. And also potentially, like if white is just extremely open because people around Brent and Crawford are avoiding it, then you could also just have a white deck with something else and not actually end up in black. And I think that's important too, to like realize that even though Invasion of Fiora is incredible, at least personally, I would rather be in a super open color. And in order to do that, like you do need to take the good cards. Because otherwise, the issue also if you pass the seal here, you're gonna put Mako on your left into white. And then so if you like move into white pretty late yourself, then that's kind of an issue because Mako would also be in white and then your pack 2 is gonna like suck. And there's like it's really important that you take the good cards when you see them if you want to like try and change direction here. It doesn't seem to be Reid's strategy, so from the point of view of Reid's strategy, taking the Nezumi format is correct, but I think Reid's strategy is not ideal in this spot. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So Reid Duke, not a very good drafter. So says Simon.
Yeah, you can quote me on that. And I'll go into hiding from the angry mob that will follow me.
Okay. Let's take a look at pack 4. So Reid opens up a Furia, Judge of Valor. And then Tenured Oilcast, not great. Invasion of Eldraine and a Tribute to the World Tree.
Ooh, there's actually a Tribute to the World Tree as well. That's very interesting. It's so hard to cast in a deck that's like, if he's draft is heading heavy black, it's kind of hard to do. It's interesting. I don't know if I would take a flyer on that one. Usually I don't mind like wasting my first picks, but other drafters like disagree and really want to make sure that they're playing like the first 5-ish picks they make. So it's sometimes a difference of draft philosophy here. I've heard a lot of people say that like Invasion of Eldraine is like something you could pick here because it's just a solid card, but I don't think you should be picking a 4-mana Mind Rod this early. I mean, of course it is better because it's a battle as well, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Team CFB had come to the same conclusion as Team Handshake, that the battles are just like not that good. I don't think I would recommend picking the Mind Rod this early. The Furia, however, is really important. Only costs 1 white. So you don't have to be black-white to play it. You can just splash it.
Yeah.
And
right. Okay, so you're with Reid here. You like the Furia over...
I think the Furia pick is pretty solid, yeah. But it makes even more sense if you picked the Seal last time, because then, of course, like, even more likely to play the Furia.
Does the fact that does the single white pip on Furia mean you don't really consider it a white card because it's so easy to splash?
It's not like so easy to splash, but it's just like less of a white card than, for instance, Seal is. Like Seal is very much a white card, right? But yeah, it's like splashing in this moment is like pretty reasonable. You can often do it. It's also like not that hard to just run straight up 3-color decks and so on. So yeah, I don't think like, especially on a 5-drop, that's like, not even that bad to play on turn 7 alongside a 2-mana spell and so on. Like, Furia is very splashable, and so that doesn't mean it's less white than it might seem on the surface.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I hadn't really been highly valuing it, and I know the stats don't super back it up, but I noticed Reid valued it quite highly, and it sounds like you do too.
I think all black-white cards are just worse because people online draft black-white as if it's friction tribal, which it sometimes is, but most of the time it's actually not because you need the right uncommon payoffs. And of course it's going to suffer if you pick all the fractions just because they're fractions, but you have very little payoff then. All right, so we have another good green card passed here in pick 5.
Yeah, so we've got the Drag Recycler in black and the Sandstalker Moloch in green, along with a Seraph of New Capenna in white, if we happen to highly value that. And Reid just slams the black card again.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very good to just like make sure you pick your 2-drops. It's not that good of a 2-drop, so it's kind of interesting. But this pack is also a bit weak, I think. There are like the fact that there's the Moloch and also the 2-drop Iridescent Blade Master. Does kind of point towards like this could be a green being open. There's also like the tribute to the World Tree, which also just like went to your pick 4, right? So even though you didn't pick it up, and there might be green signal. But again, there's the issue where you've also has the tribute now. And so you're likely to put someone into green on your left. And again, that, you know, if you want to be heavy green for the, like, it might be really hard to like make green work after pack 2. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
This one is really tough. Again, if Invasion was not double-faced, I would definitely like recommend taking the black card here to just like dry it out. But someone seeing a drag recycler is just not going to be that much of a signal at this point.
Now, how much... in this format in particular, how much value do you place on ending pack 1 in one color only? Regardless of whether you've got an Invasion of Fiora, just so that when you get to packs 2 and 3, if you open some bomb in another color, you can then decide your second color then, rather than for, you know, a Sandstalker Moloch.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's definitely something that's pretty nice to do, and I think this also seems to be Reid's approach to the format, based on how he's drafting. So, definitely don't think that that's a bad idea. Something you can also do is just be like open enough that you can support that bomb with a few like good picks depending on what you have. But I mean, it's like your pack 1 will not have that many playables because it'll have a bunch of different colors. There's like 2 ways to stay open, basically.
Yeah, okay. City on Fire, okay.
Okay, yeah, I mean, your Nif deck is looking spicy at this point.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
There's also Yagle for you, but yeah, this is a really interesting pack too. It's kind of empty. We got like that, I guess, like Furnace Gremlin, which is nice in red black specifically, and of course he wants to be black, so that's possible. It's also the Oracle, which is like not that bad for a blue deck, but yeah.
I noticed that Reid was somewhat reluctant, both here and in a couple of other places, to take the blue card. Was that something that your team discussed, avoiding blue specifically because it's so good and you thought it would be really highly contested?
No, I don't think that makes sense. If a color is really good, then you can just draft it. Because part of it is that you can just be there.
Yep, great. As we saw, Reid take another drag recycler here. Could have taken some medium red cards, but stays in black again.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think also the fact that he's taking drag recyclers means that he's like kind of wants to lean towards red black. And now he gets the Stormclaw Ranger, which is an incredible signal. Yeah, but there's also wait, is that not a tribute?
It is.
Yeah, another tribute to the World Tree. Interesting.
Is, yeah.
Someone's actually ended up with 2 copies of that.
That's
There's also Quende and Knight of the New Coalition, which also just incredible white cards. So I think that's actually like kind of a white signal. The issue is that you didn't take the Seal of Existence, you didn't take the Knight of the New Coalition, which I think is the best white common. You didn't like take those here, and then like it gets really hard to move into white for this Knight of the New Coalition because you just pass the other white cards. So I don't know. I think this is why it's really important to take the best cards out of the pack. And here he just takes a Coming in Hot, completely ignoring the poor Aki Scrap Chomper. My little boy, that card is so good. Like in every red deck, but especially in red black sacrifice, it is just like not okay.
And it appears no one at this table knows how to draft if you notice a certain card sitting in this pack. I thought these Pro Tour drafters were good, Simon. What's going on? I
think the main difference like with people at the Pro Tour is that they like to win.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. No, don't do that. That's silly.
They're playing for a lot of money here. So anyway, I think like taking the Flywheel Razor, you can also like pick up the urns that you see pretty late. Like those are pretty good cards to help you with splashing. So there's definitely like some. Here's another Scrap Tromper, just like completely ignored. I also think the Mirrodin Avenged is a totally fine card to play in red black decks sometimes. And the Oilcaster, I think it's just bad and clunky. So you can see how our teams just like divided. You doesn't even take the urn here. Like so, we definitely have like some of the scrappier cards. It seems like Team CFB and Team Handshake, we're valuing them differently.
Yeah, I guess that's what we're seeing with the Scrap Chomper, right? Like I know Ethan from Lords of Limited is a big fan of that one. It sounds like your team really got onto that one as well. But yeah, perhaps it's something that CFB didn't explore quite as much as you guys.
Yeah, and so the issue here with this draft, I mean, I think if you like picked up if you either like went further into white, I think you would be decently happy here, or if you picked up the quote unquote the scraps you needed for like a red black deck to make sense, I think you would also be totally fine here. But I don't know, at this point, like there's just like not that many playables right now. Like you've tried to cut out black, but it seems like someone else is actually also picking up black cards.
Yeah, because in trying to cut black so hard, it means that you've ended up with a pile of Dreg Recyclers and an Izumi Informant. Like it's not, you've got one powerful card in your pack at the end of the first pack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. You have multiple powerful cards like the Stormclaw Rager and the Furia are also pretty good. But it's true that it's definitely like looking a bit bleak here, and I think Reid is like with this strategy, you're really banking on Pack 2 delivering with like more black cards than you opening a bomb in Pack 2 or 3 that you can kind of like decide your color. With this way he's drafting though, it's very possible that he will only like decide his final colors after Pack 3. Because he could just be sent a pile of black now. That's at least what he's hoping.
I mean, I guess that's the advantage of drafting that way, right? Is that you've made sure that nobody on your left is in black, and so you should just get hooked up.
He opens 3 double-faced cards here. That'll happen sometimes when there's a foil one as well.
Yeah, so Reid here opens Aetherblade Agent, Invasion of Mercadia, and Kenris Spellspear. Mm-hmm. We didn't get a good glimpse of the stuff that's around. One to his left was a Tarkir Dune Shaper. Actually, Simon, I wanted to talk to you about that card. My co-host Adrian thinks that Tarkir Dune Shaper is card advantage. What do you think of that?
Okay, I'll retract my previous statement about Adrian being a god. Sorry to anyone. I think Tarkir Dune Shaper. Okay, so I see why, because it's kind of like, it does the early thing of just being a 1-drop and you can convoke with it, and then it kind of like quote unquote like draws a 4/3 later on. But yeah, I don't know. I think the card is really good though, because it just like fits with the way we like to draft. I don't know. It's not really card advantage, but it is just card quality at least, which is also a certain form of advantage you can have with your cards.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I really like it as well. I've been impressed by most of the flip creatures in this set.
Yeah, they're kind of interesting because they can also just like, you can just get blown out so hard, but
yes, yeah.
Sometimes you aren't. So I'm gonna like let you in a little secret here with what's going on in this draft, because it is actually kind of interesting how it ended up with Reid ends up being squeezed in between 2 red-white drafters. Both Autumn and Mako end up in red-white. And the Brandon Crawford who picked Elish Norn is actually blue-green splash Elish Norn. So he's not even white.
Right.
And I think maybe Autumn picked up on that and actually like realized that white was open, even though Elish Norn was just open to next to her. So she must have picked up some white. And then of course Mako like got shipped all the Seals and the Knights of New Coalition, and there's a bunch of those. So at this point, like the ship for white is pretty much sailed, right? Like that's.
And that's
you set yourself up to opening a bomb that you can put in your deck, but you also set yourself up to like other colors. The colors other than black are going to be pretty cut. So
yeah,
you might end up in a deck
that's
going
to be super awkward when we see what Reid opens here.
Yeah, definitely.
He cracks.
He would be very happy with the spell spear for his red black deck.
Wait for it.
But then there's also this. The Boonbringer Valkyrie. Oh, that would go so well with your Knights and your Seal of Existence. But of course, this is like we can look all smug here knowing how the draft actually pans out, but it is definitely a risk you take by passing the good white cards that this could easily happen.
Sam and Simon better than Reid Duke. That's can we
but
put that on the thumbnail? Is that the title of the video?
So one could let us do 2-headed giant drafts at the PT will dominate.
Okay, so was there? This might sound like the craziest thing in the world, but is there any argument to not take the Boonbringer Valkyrie there?
Yeah.
So knowing that you've got the Elish Norn on your right and that you've shipped all this good white to your left, so you're likely not getting white from either direction, and there's what I think is a great black card in Gargantua here. Is there an argument for passing a card as powerful as the Valkyrie in that circumstance?
I think white was not closed from the other direction. Like from the Elish Norn direction, white was flowing. That's when we got the super late Knights of New Coalition. And even though I think Reid should expect a white to not be very open here, he would have to make a decision now where he has to be extremely diligent and hold on to that, like, Valkyrie is the only white card he might get the entire pack of relevance.
Yeah.
Expecting that, at least in pack 3, he'll get white to support his black cards.
Yeah.
So that's something you can do there. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. As I said, like, if he had like a little bit more of the setup for the red-black deck, of course, like, again, if he doesn't think the Scrap Jumper is playable, then he wouldn't consider it as a part of the red-black setup. But if you had a little bit more of the, at least if I was in Reid's seat and I had some of the Scrap Jumpers here, I think I would be more likely to take the Kenra and just be like, okay, I've just, I've locked in my red-black here. I haven't passed too much red, and I know that, I know that, like, these callouts are reasonably open, and I'll just have to defeat the Valkyrie. I think something that's really dangerous too in Reid's spot is the lack of removal here. Again, an issue with passing the seal, like the only real removal spell he saw. It kind of like, he's, it means that, like, in the future he'll have to be like, have to take these removal spells very highly, and it might even matter more that, like, it might even, like, the removal spells that are available to him might even matter more than having access to bombs.
Yeah,
if that
absolutely,
makes sense.
Right? Because you just need to be able to answer all the crazy things that your opponent's got in this set.
Yeah, at least, like, in his specific spot, because he's lacking it. And so by taking the Boombringer Valkyrie, like, you kind of, like, if the removal that's open to you is red, then you're kind of in an issue, right? Where you're like, you might lose out on the Valkyrie, but interesting. So we got,
so we've got the completed Huntmaster, another Furia, and not a whole lot else. There's, like, the Ramosian Greatsword if you want to mosey black over to red, but that's not a great reason to do so. What are you thinking here in Reid's spot?
I think that the Huntmaster is just, like, easily the correct pick here.
Yeah.
It's just like a super solid black card. Oh, you could also take the second Furia, I guess. But the issue is, like, it's not a 5-drop. You could reasonably wheel it here. I think you just want the good black card. You also, like, at this point, like, even though you took the Valkyrie, there is a, like, again, if you pass red removal spells, you might just eschew the Valkyrie and just go into red-black still, as you were originally planning.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so Render Inert is kind of removal. Sometimes?
No.
Oh, Tangled Skyline.
Does not count. I think actually even the Invasion of Fiora has 6 counters, so that's not even a combo. So I don't know. Okay, so you can see here, like, he's passed, like, basically no white, basically no black. That could be unlucky, because there is 2 black cards in the pack. They just both, like, are kind of bad. And then there's actually, like, pretty good green cards and some pretty good red cards too. There's, like, the Fearless Skull that gives double strike. Like, that card is really good, and I think maybe Reid should just consider taking the Skull here and keep his options open for still being red or white.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're hurting for removal like Reid is, do you look at a card like Render Inert a little bit more positively?
No, and it's just, like, literally just not. It just doesn't do what you want it to do.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're afraid of, like, Incubate tokens, you can, like, I don't know, like, have some artifact removal or put a 1/1 Death Touch in front of it. So now
there'd be an Omnath in our Niv deck.
Ooh, I see. Yeah, I think Reid is gonna pass on that. That train has sailed, so to speak. That's how you do metaphors. And and he actually takes the Friction Gargantua instead of the failed conversion. I disagree with this. It's probably, again, like, just just card evaluation differences between the teams, but the Gargantua I think is really good if your deck is full of cheap crabby cards like the Scrap Trumper. I'm gonna mention that guy so much, like, you'll have a Scrap Trumper counter and it's gonna like ring up into the 20s. But
don't put the idea in my head. We will do that.
But his deck is, like, super clunky right now. Like, he has, 2 5-mana angels, applying to wheel another one. He has no cheap removal. He does have some 2-drops, but some of them are, like, Informant and the Gift of Completion, which are, like, not as super impactful as actual 2-mana plays. So, the Gargantua is fine, I think he just really wanted the removal spell, even though it's, like, a bad removal spell, kind of a failed removal spell, so to speak, with the conversion.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the failed conversion kind of helps with that clunky issue, though, right?
Oh, it does. Well, it helps more than a Gargantua does. Of course, your deck would still be clunky, but
yeah.
I mean, if you're facing down, like, I don't know, a 3-power flyer, the Gargantua is like so much worse than the fail conversion.
Yeah.
So I think you just gotta pick it up and just make sure you have something that can like point and click to kill your opponent's stuff. It's not, it's not ideal, but.
Okay, that one's really interesting. That's not a pick I would have had the discipline to make. So that one's really interesting to me.
Yeah, because you would pick the Omnath. All right, so so seeing an Ichor Drinker here in a second Stormclaw Rager.
Second Stormclaw Rager.
I do think Ichor Drinker is something that like is really of interest to read here. Just cheap card that blocks well and like can be a sacrifice outlet and so on. But I don't know, it's like the issue with passing the Scald earlier, right? Is that like, you know, you can see like white is clearly not open. That's really expected.
Yeah.
You didn't expect black to also be kind of this closed. But you could have just had a red-black deck with 2 Stormclaw Ragers and just ignored the Valkyrie. Even though I think it's fine to pick Valkyrie in his spot. You just like don't have to log into playing it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, and then we have like
Simon. Okay. Look, if we had listened to the better of the 2 drafters that are on this call, we would have had Niv Mizzet Reborn, Omnath, and Invasion of Alara.
Yeah, you would have those in our opponent's sideboard, right? That's what you mean? Yes.
We would have had the most unbeatable deck at the Pro Tour, and I won't hear anything aside from it. Talk to me about Traumatic Revelation. This is kind of come up for me. What did your team kind of decide on this card?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's not bad. You definitely should play it. I think I've literally never put it in a deck myself. That sometimes happens when because I've been a little bit lower on it, just like instinctively, and then it takes kind of a while to like readjust that. So just having that other people have picked it before me, but definitely not in the habit to pick it here. I mean, you can't take the green cards, even though it's like it's also so interesting. Like what could have been if you had picked the 2 triple to the world trees, but there's definitely like avenues
super interesting.
Open to read here that makes sense. But it just seems like either he's getting really unlucky with the packs, which does happen sometimes. Like he's cutting black and there's no pack black was opened, or someone is actually just like moving into black. Like it's not Mako, but it could be like the person passing to the Mako was passing to.
Yeah. But I mean, the lack of white was really of his own doing, though. Yeah,
the lack of white is definitely himself. But picking Revelation here is not like too bad. But ooh, see, there's a beat stick. You know, that could go with your 2 Aki Scrap Jumpers in a different world. Yeah, I don't know. I think his red-black deck could have been super solid in this seed.
It certainly looks like it. So I mean, the Edge Familiar is a fine pickup. This really seems like the story of his draft, right? It's just
so anemic.
Fine.
I mean, like, you can't like. I mean, it's fine if you have really good removal and really good bombs, but what you have is just 2 good rares, which I guess you have to draw.
Yeah. Oh, there's your Scrap Jumper again.
I would pick the Ancient here, though. I do have Discipline. But also the reason I can pick the Ancient is that I already have 2 Scrap Jumpers in my pile. Right?
That's true, yeah. I'm a big fan of the Aetherblade Agent. That's,
it's definitely very good. There's also another card that I underrated and has definitely been one I have learned to put in my decks. As we like to see a little foretelling here in my own draft.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. All right, so we've got the only black card is the Flitting Gorilla, which is horrendously named. That is clearly not a gorilla.
And it's also not a very fitting name, right? So it's just like completely off.
No, yeah, what the hell? They got both of the words wrong.
I think, by the way, Rent's Resolve is something I want to highlight. He's just like actually good in the red-black deck. Okay, he did wield the Feria as expected. And now he takes it on fail conversion. I would not do this.
There's another fail conversion there,
Yeah, I mean, if he takes the earlier fail conversion, then you're allowed to take the Feria here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, it's something like, it's a concept that like Javier Dominguez, now like at the end of Pack 2 here, I'm just gonna ramble on about like a high level strategy here, but Javier Dominguez talks about making defensive picks. That sounds like, you know, an odd concept, but the idea is that you protect the picks later in your draft. If you pick a 2-drop, when you pick good mana fixing, and when you pick like removal, even over more exciting cards, it means that later in the draft, you will not be in a position where you're forced to pick the 2-drop over something better because you've already like protected your future draft.
Yeah.
And so in Reid's case, the way he, I think, needed to be protective of his future draft is to pick removal there. Of course, like he ends up taking neither of the failed conversions. I would also assume part of that is his team thinks it's worse than our team think it is. So it's just again a card evaluation thing.
Yeah. I know the Lords of Limited guys have talked about that before as investing in the future of your draft. So just taking cards that might not do much for you now, but they open up more doors and more options for you later.
Yeah, and he definitely has done it to some extent with the 2-drops, but the issue with his particular draft is that is that his deck is just lacking more of like, like raw card quality than it is lacking curve.
Yeah.
And it's lacking removal,
which
of
is,
course.
Yeah, which is awkward, right? Because you're missing removal, which is, he's got the bombs, which is kind of number one. You're missing the removal, which is kind of the next most important thing that you need. And then he doesn't have just kind of great quality cards. His curve is okay, but so really we're just kind of relying on a few powerful cards to carry this one.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe he's got to get lucky and open more bombs to make this work. But I mean,
yeah. So I guess. And maybe we'll see this. I'm just going to pretend like I don't know what's coming up. If you opened a bomb in your colors in the next pack, along with say a deadly derision or a final flourish,
yeah, probably have to at least take it. As always with draft, it will depend. If the bomb you open is Sunfall, you probably have to take the Sunfall. It's also removal, so that helps.
It's also removal, yeah.
Yeah. But if the bomb is like something that's like pretty good, but maybe a bit expensive, I think I'd rather have Deadly Derision. Final Flourish, you need the bomb needs to be of even lower quality for me to take the Final Flourish. But
oh, interesting. That sounds like you're not too high on the Final Flourish.
It's good. It's just not as good as Deadly Derision. Like we're also talking like compared to a bomb, right? Like, if you open Elish Norn, like what do you take? Like the Elish Norn Grand Xenobite, maybe. I guess that one you'd probably take over everything. But the other Elish Norn, maybe you would pick Deadly Derision over that, but pick Elish Norn over Final Flourish.
Yeah. Okay, so here we've got pack 3. So Reid has opened Invasion of Tolvada, the Thallid,
which is
and
the black-white invasion. There is kind of perfect for what he's doing.
Yeah. To his right was opened the Captive Weird. Not that I think that's going to matter.
Yeah, at this point, it doesn't really matter what's opened. The only thing it really matters for is if you can like see someone opening a card that you think will get passed to you, you can draft assuming that it'll get to you. And if you're lacking 2-drops, but you see someone opening an Aetherblade Agent, maybe you don't need to prioritize the 2-drop now because you know there'll be one coming to you.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Is the Invasion of Tolvada kind of right up there in power level? I've only faced it once, and that was at the pre-release, and it was ridiculous, but I can kind of see that one either way. What's your experience with that card?
It is super nuts if you get to flip it, and it's especially good if you have like land cyclers, especially the red one.
Yeah.
The Wombo Combo. So yeah, I've personally never had any experience with playing with or against it. But from but we did have like a limited meeting where we talked about all the rares, and my teammates were definitely like, yes, this card is very, very good. But you do need to flip it. It is a bit clunky. I actually don't think it's that good. Like this is a case where I would pick Deadly Derision and Final Flourish over the Invasion of Tolvada here, because Reid just doesn't need another like clunky, bomby type thing. He's not that good at killing battles, and he just like prefers removal much more. So
yes, yeah, okay, interesting, yeah. Okay, oh wow. Okay, so it turns out our bomb is Breach the Multiverse.
But there's also, we actually have literally the question here, Seal of Existence.
Oh wow. Yeah,
I think, and there's also the really good 2-drop here, but that's not really what you need, even though it's a powerful card. So,
yeah,
I think I would definitely take the Seal over the Invasion of Tolvada. I think the question with the Breach versus the Seal is very, very interesting. I think it's so if I'm in Reid's head right now, not if I'm in his position I think I'm just red-black. But if I'm in his head, I am playing white-black, and I think getting the seal is better than getting the breach. Another issue is that if you pass the breach, you're gonna have to play against it too, which is also awkward.
Yeah, that's it. We're playing.
You're not guaranteed to play against it, but like it is like potentially make your opponent's decks better. And what actually happens is that he ends up losing to Marco Kamluch's triple seal from existence deck. So that can also happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You don't see Reid Duke get flustered too often, but he looks pretty stressed.
It's such an especially since like a lot of decisions in draft you can kind of prepare beforehand. You have like your strategic knowledge, but this one is just like like it's comparing like two really good uncommons and two rares, of which you might not have that much experience with. Like you're not gonna have played as much as if it was just comparing certain commons, which you and your teammates would have discussed endlessly, like what you pick.
Yeah, and I mean to drop some stats in here, Breach the Multiverse is the best. I believe it's the best black card in this set, and I think it's in the top 5 rares in the set.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So this really kind of puts our question right there, right? Do you take just the absolute nut black rare, or do you take that removal that you're so desperately hankering? So you think
else that's worth considering is that Reid's deck right now is extreme. We can see all his black cards and he picked in pack 2. It was exactly as we expected, right? He was just gonna pick black cards. Turns out the quality of those black cards wasn't even that impressive, which is awkward, right? Like, because the good black cards just weren't opened, it seems like. Which of course sucks to be Reid in that case. But his deck does look to be very black heavy. If you're supporting Seal from Existence, you do need like at least 8 planes or so. So there's a mana-based concern here as well. He could skim on planes a lot by picking the Breach here, and maybe he won't have any double white except for the Valkyrie in his deck.
True,
So it's a small argument, but it might matter. So yeah, I don't know. I think I would pick the Seal here. I've beaten Breach the Multiverse too often to want to like give up removal here, but because the issue with that card is that you can actually get milled out by the opponent after casting it. But I definitely don't.
I've been on the receiving end of that a couple of times. I've been milled by that card a few times. I've never.
Oh yeah, they're actually milled out. Yes, the 10 cards left. Yeah. I think I definitely don't fault Reid for doing it here though.
That's pretty tough.
Now, no question. You take the removal spell here. You don't look back. Maybe look back a little bit longer than the Thalia and the monster, but
could have had that in our Omnath deck, Simon.
Yes, that would be allowed. Yes. I think honestly, like in your seat, you would have had to take the land here. Like it's the Thornwood Falls.
That's probably true, actually.
Because you were not drafting defensively.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, pretty easy collective nightmare here. There's an unsealed the Necropolis, which is worth taking note of, I would think, and then another.
Yeah, it would be nice to wield that. It's not going to be that good in his deck though, because his deck is a little bit long. But it's going to be fine. He's going to play it right if he gets it. It's just you just don't really need more clunkers and card advantage stuff in your situation.
Yeah. Okay, so pack 3 we've got the Scornblade Berserker, which is a nice thing to go with some of his crappy creatures. He can just throw them away for more cards. And not a whole lot else.
Yeah, it's good. You have the Informant, which combos really well with it. So yeah, I think I would just take the Berserker. It's a cheap card as well. Helps you draw towards your bombs, which is all you really need. So
yeah. What are your thoughts on the land cyclers in general, like the Gloomfang Marauder?
Pretty bad.
Pretty
bad. I mean, obviously the white one is like decently fine. Yes. You can definitely play them sometimes. The other ones, but yeah, the way like we decide to approach draft, which is like we just want cheap cards and hit our land drops like by just playing a land instead of having to spend 2 mana to get our land drop, and hopefully we'll have enough of an engine in terms of like activated abilities or like other sorts of mana sinks or bombs that we're drawing to because we're splashing all sorts of colors, and that will prevent the flooding. Or you have Aki Scrap Jumpers to prevent you from flooding. Like it's very much like
the Aki Scrap Jump account. It's going off.
I know. I might be doing it on purpose, but we'll see. Okay, so you have a Yara here, but you might also just have to pick the Land Cycler, so you have something that looks like removal.
Yeah. Oh, he doesn't even think about it. He just slams that Ayara.
So one thing that's really good about Ayara, right, is that it's incredible in clunky decks. And Reid just has like so many like 5 and 6 drops at this point. That Yeah, I don't know. I think I would take the Alabaster Host Intercessor there.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's really hard to say because the Ayara can just win games by itself by just like the good thing about Ayara is like you actually rarely want to transform it. You just want to like fling things to the opponent until they die.
Yeah. Is there anything to the Shatter the Source in that situation? The red deal 6?
Yes, that would have been also very good if you'd been red-black, but you're not at this point. Like, you just...
Yeah, he's kind of fully committed to white at this point.
He's not, I guess he's not really fully committed, because the only thing he has is, like, the 2 Furias and the Valkyrie, but I think the Valkyrie is better than his red cards plus the Shatter. But yeah, I don't know, it's interesting, yeah he could actually... That's, again, the issue, right, with, like, if you just kept yourself more open, he might have actually been able to take the Shatter here and just be like, that's my reason to be red. But again, the Ayara is also so good, so yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Simon! Look!
I don't see anything. I see Unsealed and Acropolis. That's what I see.
I was looking forward to this being a regular series, and now I can just never invite you back. Look what you've deprived us of.
Maybe I'm doing it on purpose, you know? Maybe have you considered that I might not want to get invited back?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be invited back either. Okay, but yeah, the Unseal seems good. It sounded from what you said before like you're not super high.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he might just like want the 3-drop, honestly. Just like, even though he doesn't have any knights, but just have like just a random 3/3. But I think he'll be fine. Like he also just got an Ayara, right? So the Unseal gets a lot better because of that, and he wants quicker response.
Yeah, and I guess if your deck is reliant on like a couple of powerful cards, then having a way to get back your Valkyrie when it dies seems pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Like that could definitely matter a lot, or even ways to find it, right? You could just like mill the 3 to try and get there.
Sure. Yeah. I love the end step, just blind Unseal with no creatures in your graveyard.
At least with one, that's usually how it is. But yeah, then you can unlock and get past another one here, and it's so awkward. You already have 2 Dreg Recyclers, you have another Unsealed, there might be another one wheeling. You have these like really good green cards that are delicious. You have this like terrible white 5-drop you're not gonna play. Yeah, it's just awkward all around.
Yeah, there's just kind of nothing good happening here. Just take more 2 drops.
I will say, like, I personally don't think Reid drafted this optimally. At least like in adherence to how I want to approach draft. I think with the way he's approaching draft and his strategy, like, he probably did a pretty good job, but also got like pretty unlucky in certain ways, and then got lucky in other ways by opening the bombs. But yeah, I just don't think you can have a deck that's just like pile of chaff and some bombs with no removal. Yeah. It's just not gonna get you there in this format.
Totally. And
the most dangerous thing about this deck is that it's clunky, and that's like whatever you want to avoid here. So
yeah. Now look, I know you're too polite to say it, but I think what Simon's really trying to say here is that Reid Duke, just an absolute disaster of a drafter. Don't watch this guy. Don't listen to this guy. Just steer clear.
Okay. Right. Well, I've heard about Australians being rude, but I didn't realize it was like this much. You know, that's ridiculous.
I'm besmirching an entire country.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was insane. Reid is obviously incredible and someone who's inside I would value a lot. So but the thing is that it's super interesting about watching people draft is that, like, you know, first of all, especially like with draft strategy, like the big arching thing is like, it's so hard to know like what's actually right and wrong, and we like spend a lot of time on our team discussing like what you can do in spots like these. And so and then the other thing is that like it's really hard to like, if you like record someone like all of someone's drafts, you can see that you will like often end up with drafts that like are not looking very good. I mean, you could just watch the Draft Punk YouTube channel as an example of that. And
no.
And
this is the last time we have a pro on the channel.
and so yeah, like, you know, when you just put like Reid in a random feature draft, it could just be one where like he's actually like it's really hard, right? And sometimes you end up making wrong picks and kind of like cascades and so on. And so I'm not sure how Reid felt about this draft. I would assume he felt like he did kind of a good job, but then got a bit unlucky. But then he would also be open to the input that like, well, maybe you actually didn't need to force black this hard because it was a revealed card. And so like, I don't know. I wonder how much he considered that input, and actually, I would have loved to have a discussion with Reid about this draft, because I definitely also think like he has merits to his ways. But the interesting thing about the pro community, this is at least like my opinion of like where things went wrong here for Reid. Because I don't think his deck is very good. I would not be surprised if we went 1-2 with this deck. I say as an actual oracle, a knower of the future.
Yeah, well, I mean that is how things turned out, and you can go watch the coverage of Reid's draft, and it kind of played out much like how we're talking about, right? He struggled to deal with anything that his opponents put on the board, and he just spent so much of his time playing dreg recyclers and just these cards that just didn't
and some
matter
bombs
that,
that the opponent could just deal with because they didn't really have to care about the rest of his deck.
Or that they cost 7 and he was just dead before he could cast them.
Yeah, he's like pretty good at like you presenting like Baneslayer Angel type cards like constantly, because you also have the 2 Furious, which are lifelink flyers, but and then like the Unseals and the Behold the Multiverses to get them back. But that is something that like lines up well against a certain type of strategy. But if the opponent, for instance, just has like a bunch of Seals of Existence instead of things that kill your angels, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, totally. Great. That was super interesting. That was like you said, it's so interesting hearing different perspectives on the same format. There were a couple of points you had in there that I definitely hadn't thought of before. So here's Reid's final.
I will note the Bola Slinger is a mistake. That is the Valkyrie.
That's the Valkyrie. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean he's playing like Mirrored and Avenged, playing double-edged familiar, triple track recyclers. This thing is a collective nightmare. I mean.
That's cool. Yeah, when that's the Draft Punks video, that's the title of the video. I love it. Okay, great. Okay, so all right, now we get to the bit that I'm actually really excited for. We've roasted this Reid Duke guy. I hope he works on his game. I think he might have a bright future in front of him if he does. But now we're going to move on to Simon's own draft from the feature pod on day 2.
I feel like what we actually should have done is to invite Reid in here, and then he bashes my draft. But can you cosplay Reid and be the one bashing my draft here?
Absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to try and think of the
pretend
rudest...
like I'm Adrian, I guess.
Okay, I'm going to think of the rudest possible thing that Reid Duke would be capable of saying. Okay. I think that might be something like, I think you did a great job, and I reckon we could do even better next time. Is that no? That's too negative. He wouldn't even be able to say that.
Actually, Reid is a savage roaster.
Oh really?
Yeah, because the thing is, he's like kind of a roast sniper, right? Because you like don't expect it from him, then you just like get shot and you die. Like he can be kind of feral at times, which is one of the great things about him. He's definitely not all the White Knight in the shining armor.
All right, here we are with the Simon Nielsen special. I'm not even going to try and introduce this because I have no idea what's going on, and I think I'm about to get seriously schooled. So, Simon, set the stage for us.
Yeah, this is the PT Day 2, and I know that I'm in the feature draft pod. It is the first time ever that I get to be this, so I'm incredibly excited, and I'm so excited that I like show up at the hall without my badge to get in 20 minutes before the draft is about to start. And I text Scott-Larrabee and I'm like, can you help me get in? And somehow my friends, end up sneaking me in. So I do get to like sit there, but I have not had any breakfast yet. I've had like, I don't know, like 4 hours of sleep, if that even does it. And that was also like the same amount I got yesterday. Like I am so tired. One thing about being super tired is that you can only focus on one thing. So that means that sometimes it actually helps my focus to be extremely sleep deprived. I can just not do it for super long necessarily.
Okay, yeah.
And I definitely remember like coming out of this draft with my eyes hurting because I was just so focused on this draft. So yeah, this is, I'm actually like, I'm really happy we get to show this because I'm quite proud of what I did this draft. Maybe I'll fall off my high horse in a bit, but this is I'm not the most consistent drafter. I sometimes do draft like pretty poorly, but I think this one I'm very happy with. I also like on day one, I had drafted this like pile that I thought was just like terrible. I talked to a friend like after the draft portion and said like, because I had this like Teamer Zada deck, which it was just like it's just like not really like, it seemed very incoherent. I mean, it had a bunch of teardrops, but not really enough creatures to support all the convoke spells I had, and it was just like straight up 3 colors, like splashing Ral's Reinforcements type of deck. I ended up like winning my last round by end up 3-0ing the draft, winning the last game by like drawing my entire deck with Transcendent Message, untapping and playing Sada and Storm the Seed Core to put 4+ counters on everything and killing my opponent.
That's sick.
So yeah, that deck was like way better than I thought it was, but I thought like I was just like not really in it in that draft, so I did not expect to like, do that well with it. Now I'm here.
I have a lot of drafts like that where sometimes you draft what you think is the nuts and it doesn't do anything, and then sometimes you draft a pile that just for some reason works.
Yeah, and so here I am, seated next to Nate Stoyer, who's a good friend and teammate of mine. Actually have like, I'm also getting passed to by Javier Dominguez, who's also a good friend and teammate. We were definitely crushing this tournament and having multiple teammates here. The really funny thing is that like Nate opens Elish Norn here as a double face card when we reveal those, and it's actually happened twice. So we did like 4 practice drafts with the team like in the week leading up to this, where we're in-house like trying to do the whole thing with like revealing double face and sleeving and so on. And it happened twice that I was seated passing to Nate, where like in one of them he opened the like Invasion of New Phyrexia, and in the other one I had to pass him an Ozolith. So I have really good practice feeding Nate specifically. So I feel like I'm in prime position to this. My strategy here.
Okay, so you've got Javier passing to you, and then you're passing to Nate. Okay.
My overall strategy, is to definitely take these double face cards seriously. I know that Nate is going to be aware of them, so I can use that to my advantage. And I know that he has the Elish Norn, so I can also use that to my advantage by like passing him good white cards and making sure that he knows what he's supposed to pass me, by communicating with double face cards. That's at least my plan.
Interesting. Okay.
So yes, that is how it goes. We have Kevin Depre calling our draft, the French head judge, and we sit down here, open up packs, he reveals the Elish Norn, I make out this plan here, and I look at my first pack.
So was there anything that Javier or the person to his right opened that was relevant to your picks?
No, not super much. The only thing that's relevant is that like these cards were revealed. I have an idea of I memorized the colors of the cards. Not always the specific ones, and I'm assuming that like both like Javier and Nate are doing the same thing, at least to some extent, right? Yeah.
Okay, so walk us through pack 1. I'm really curious to see where this goes. So viewers, maybe comment now what you would have taken here. Pack 1, pick 1 at the Pro Tour. I'm very curious to see if you land on the same place as Simon.
Yeah, so, well, I know that Nate just opened an Elish Norn, and we have some great white cards in this pack, which is awkward, because my whole plan was to just, like, feed the board all the white cards. And I think Knight Aeon of Eos, it's just not as good as it looks. It is a fine Convoke card. You can sometimes draw a card off it. It's okay. But it's like...
That's been my experience too.
Yeah, just a solid Convoke card, okay? It's not a bomb. So there are no bombs in this pack. The best card, I think, is the Phyrexian Awakening. I think very clearly, actually. The thing is that, like, I don't know, Nate is a hungry boy, and I think like he really would like Phyrexian Awakening to like suit his Elish Norn. So I couldn't really rub him off that. I mean, he's again a friend and teammate, right? And if I put him in white to make sure that he's white, then like I can make him get out my hair. I just also need to communicate to him like what I'm doing, what I want him to do. And so what better way to do is that he knows that I opened the Sumi Freewheeler. If I take that right now, that will be very clearly like, okay, Nate, here's your white card. Go enjoy it. Please leave black alone. Is at least the idea, right? This, of course, can be dangerous because, like, what if black is not the open color and I move into something else? But hopefully, I can communicate that through like the through the cards that are left over in the packs and so on later on. The freewheeler is also much better than it seems.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yes, I think this is the second best card in the pack.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe third after the Cosmic Hunger. I don't know. Maybe we should take Cosmic Hunger. It's interesting. I think the fact that it's double face though, let's give it points. What the freewheeler does is, like, usually the like expensive flip cards aren't that exciting, but this one specifically, it just like dominates the board so easily. The 4/5 body I think is incredible, and the fact you can bring back any permanent from any graveyard that costs 2 or less. Like you can get pacifism or like a land if you need to, or it's just like it's so flexible. And I'm definitely happy having, like, I said I really want like a low curve, but I'm happy having like freewheelers like part of the top of my of my curve here.
Interesting. Yeah, because I've found it like if you can flip it, it's good, but just like a 3/3 menace for 4 is kind of tough in the power level of this format. So that's really interesting to hear.
It's like you even need to pick your spot, but we've been very impressed with this card. I think also as I'm like looking at this right now, I think I'm probably overrated a little bit. I think like a lot of the power here is just in the signaling value.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I really wasn't considering that aspect. So that's very interesting. Is there an argument for? I know this isn't really a thing in Modern Draft, but hook cutting Nate, right? If like that he's going to be white, so if you just move into white in front of him and just pick up all the white cards on your
and make it seem like white is open by passing like the Quendent and Knight Errant. Yeah,
but so then he takes one of these three.
The issue is that like I don't think we just benefit from that. Like so it makes sense in a team draft where sacrificing my draft to get some like a teammate opponent or an opposing teammate. An opposing team member. You know what I mean.
I do.
Like sacrificing like your deck to make their deck worse is relevant because you make their deck worse for all the opponents as well. Here, it's like that's not very good, right? Like I don't want to make Nate's and I's deck worse. Like do I want both of us to like end up in a 1-2 bracket? Like what's my strategy here? You know, like it's just I think it's way better to stay clear of each other.
Yeah, I mean, it was just because you said that you thought Awakening was the best card. So if you can take the best card and also cut white off from him, then you're benefiting your draft.
So if I can make it very clear that white is like not open and he should move all the edition on, I could do that. Yeah. It's super dangerous because this pack has white cards. Like Nate might still pick white cards. He it's very easy that enough can slip through the cracks. That then Nate will take the good white cards out of pack 2, and then I'll be left with the Drag Recyclers, or I mean that level part of the card, right? Like I just like. I really value being in open colors, and I think the double face cards kind of dictate this. But I can definitely see how this opening pick is not the best. As it turns out, I passed the rest of the pack to Nate, who did not know that I was picking the freewheeler at all.
Oh, wow. Okay. All that thought for
because I talked to him afterwards, right? And because he obviously picked the Illusion one, and then he picked the Sculpted Perfection. This pack
that's
instead of Friction Awakening. And I mean, I don't personally agree with that. It's like, I don't think it makes much sense. I think the Awakening's better. I think there's like, Nate was evaluating the cards differently. The Sculpted Perfection I do think is pretty good and kind of makes sense with Elation on and so on. It's like, and like, I don't think Black-White is a bad archetype at all. So I don't think it's like, a terrible card to pick early, but I think like the Awakening is just like a very similar card that is monocolored and just suits better. So and then of course, like if you know that the person right next to you just picked a black card, like you're never picking the Perfection here. But he didn't register that. So
I mean that's interesting because I remember the commentators at the time and some of the analysis of Nate's draft that I've heard since were really surprised by this exact decision, the fact that he took Perfection over Awakening, and they all assumed that must have just been something that the testing house had come to. But you're saying that's not the case?
Well, we come to the conclusion that Black-White is fine. And you don't need to be all in for actions if you are, but it's like this is one of the good cards that kind of let you be. So yeah, it's not something special. I think another thing that's like driving this is that Nate opened the black-white battle, and so he can kind of use that as kind of like a flyer to see if it comes around. Well then, the doors are open. You can move in, and if it doesn't come around, you can like kind of switch away. So, assuming that it might come around, you could take the perfection here as like keeping yourself open for that scenario.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's what an interesting pack one, pick one. All right. That's super cool. Let's have a look at pack one, pick two. So we've got a Nezumi freewheeler. We know that Nate Stoyer to our right is likely in white. Talk me through.
I guess also relevant, like next to Nate is Pedro from Brazil, who opens Rona. So there's also like Nate might be incentivized to not go into blue for that reason.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so
here we've got Invasion of Vryn, another Quende, bunch of stuff. Talk me through this.
Yeah, not the highest power level pack. The three cards that are sticking out to me here are Invasion of Vryn, Quende, and Rampaging Geoderm.
Okay.
So...
Oracle, not so much?
Not as much as Invasion. I think it's worse. It's a pretty good card, but... I think I'd rather have the Sift. Yeah, I definitely don't mind the Oracle. I just like want to pick it like a bit lower usually.
Okay.
And this is actually a pack where Javier took Sunfall out of it. Of course, I don't know this because it's a hidden rare. But yeah.
Okay.
So that also like puts like actually really like rewards me for not trying to go into white because I would have been stuck between a rock and a hard place there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think the Geoderm is very good. It's also like in red green or in Teamer. We talked about on the team that like Teamer is actually a relevant color combo because the blue cards work super well with what's going on in red green. And this is like definitely one of the stronger cards. Like you can take a flyer on this, and then like if red green is open, then you have like one of the powerful reasons to be in that color combo. So this is a consideration. If I'd taken Cosmic Hunger before, which I think would be a very reasonable pick, and in hindsight, maybe even what I should have taken. Taking the Geoderm here seems pretty smart. But I'm also on the like trying to tell Nate something. I know Nate is less likely to be blue. If I take the Invasion of Vryn here, which again I assume he will notice, he's gonna stay off blue. So I can just like draft my blue-black and pass the white cards to him, and then we'll figure it out. So that's at least what I'm thinking here. Of course, again, blue might not be open. I might have to move off that plan, but it's at least, I think it's powerful to be able to communicate early at least like what my early picks are. And then if I end up moving off blue, I can hopefully send some blue cards to Nate that makes him think that, okay, it's actually open again.
Yeah, okay. Can you talk to me a bit about the Invasion of Vryn? So you're saying that you're actually totally fine with Sift as a card in this format? Just you think the front side is just good enough?
Yes. Again, the things we want in this format are cheap cards and velocity. Of course, Oracle also plays really well into this, so like that's definitely not a bad card for this. But I think having card draw is pretty important. You want your like Meeting of Minds. We had that as like the second best blue common for sure. And like in general,
interesting.
Yeah, like we were really high on that because we want again cheap cards. So like that card is just incredible, right? Because we have like a bunch of crappy one drops to convoke with, like Scrap Chombers and whatnot. That we happily play in our blue red decks. Yeah.
Number one being the Preening Champion.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the Preening Champion is number one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you'd be taking Meeting of Minds over Afara's Dispersal.
Yes. I think we actually have a fairly big gap between those two.
Oh wow!
We had them in two different tiers. Yeah. So we really like card draw. So I think the Invasion is like totally fine. I'm not happy to second pick it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think any of these cards are happy to second pick. I'm gonna expect that Nate will take Quende here. So then he'll go Edishnorn and the Friction Awakening and then Quende. Quende is also not super exciting to take early, but it's at least like on colors, and this pack is somewhat weak.
As it turns out, he takes the Rampaging Geoderm.
He takes the Geoderm. I don't think that's unreasonable. That's also something we talked about on the team, that like you can pick that up. But the fact that he has Edishnorn and that he knows that I know he has Edishnorn, I think should put him in a position to like be fairly safe drafting white. Knowing that I'm not gonna cut him. But yeah, I was like way too much in Nate's set. And that's not where Nate was. So for this draft, he told me afterwards that like he was very unhappy with how he drafted and navigated this draft.
Interesting.
So, he might have just been like a case of like not focusing too well. Also, I
Yeah,
was there
draft was
being
super
like trying to
interesting
be
as well,
like the like giant brain meme, galaxy brain, trying to like figure out all these like patterns and I know what everyone will do and I can control the draft and I mean that part was definitely off. So anyway, I take the invasion here. It's not gonna be like now I'm for sure blue black. It's just like this is a good blue card that I could put in my blue deck.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. Cool. Let's have a look at pack one, pick 3. Can I zoom in a bit? Maybe have a few less spoilers.
Oh yes, this is great. Yeah.
All right. Cool. I figured out. You'd think after like 2 years of doing this channel, I'd know how to like present things properly, but apparently I'm not good at drafting or presenting. So who knows what I'm doing here? All right. Pack 1, pick 3.
Well, you're good at roasting.
So we all know. Sorry.
You're good at roasting at least. So. the finest.
I need Adrian here for that. I've got a Pro Tour top 8. I can't bring back Reid Duke. I need to roast him some more. Okay, so we've got Invasion of Kamigawa. Everyone knows this is one of the best cards in the set, right?
Wait, sorry. No, it's not. You got me off guard there. No, I hate this card is so awful. Yeah, we have the interesting cards here are Port and Tracker, like another good green one. Could definitely have seen a trajectory where that's the pick. Inga Runize.
Yeah, this card's quite important for a lot of decks, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. Second best green common. Behind the Cosmic Hunger. And then we got, I think the best card in the pack here is Jeroen Hazaret.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
This rare is not bad. You know who would especially not be bad for? If you're a person who picked up Elish Norn and Quende in your last couple picks. You might take the bait here, and we can agree that Nate, you're in red-white. And then you just do that thing, I'll make sure to give you cards, you make sure to give me cards in the blue-black Assault colors, and we can all be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing about Jeroen Hazaret is that it's actually very splashable. So I did consider taking it here and not necessarily being white. But the thing that's so good about this card is that it's like even you don't have to like fill up your deck up with legends to have it be good. Like it just hits like I don't know, like 30% of the time, and that's fine. Especially like if it then hits a bomb like Elish Norn 30% of the time. Like that's it's not that often that it would hit that, but it just sometimes like it just produces that, and it's still like sometimes it's gonna be a 5/4 with haste and vigilance, that's a good card. That's like that's just like a solid curve chopper. So I actually think that this card is pretty reasonable, and you will end up with some legends in your better white deck. So
okay. Is that what I'm actually past the point where I've memorized what you
I
would have taken.
Well, no.
So I would have taken the Aetherblade Agent. How wrong am I?
Well, Sam, click the show pick button and you'll see.
Hey!
Right! Yes!
To the Pro Tour!
Because you know what? This is a double face card. I just take another double face card and try and signal to Nate, like, this is what's going on. And now I have 2 black cards at least. So I don't know for sure if I'm blue yet, but I'm at least saying, like, okay, well, a black, like, you can stay off that. You're probably gonna stay off blue anyway because of the Rona next to you, and we can work something out. And Agent's just like solid 2-drop, fine with my colors here. So I ended up taking it.
Yep, great. Okay, cool. All right, so we've got the Nezumi Freewheeler, Invasion of Rin, and the Aetherblade Agent. All right, let's have a look at pack 1, pick 4. What have we got here?
Well, lots of red. Lots of red. So yeah, I mean the card that like really immediately jumping out to me is Rel's Reinforcement. This is a card that we like a lot. Definitely like knowing that Javier passed it, knowing that that's a signal. My teammate Carl Zarap also had this in his hands and passed it, so I could like, even if we're overvaluing this compared to other teams, I think I could reasonably assume this is a signal.
Okay.
There was also the Jeroen Hazaret, also kind of a signal. Again, because it's splashable, right? You could be a main red deck and splash it. So
okay, yep.
And then the Barrage and even the Invasion is like, these are not that bad cards. So ultimately, I think I just want to take the Rel's Reinforcement here.
Yeah, interesting. So is the Cyber Cryptomancer not good enough to be taking this early?
No, that card is not that good.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it has really high arena stats because as any trick does, because like arena players just don't play around tricks as often. But on the PT, this is also like open pool, right? Like I'm just, like I'm gonna be able to smell out the Cryptomancer, and my opponents are gonna be able to smell out the Cryptomancers, and they're gonna play accordingly. So it's just gonna get worse. It's definitely not bad still. Definitely not bad. Because it's sometimes you have to play into it, and it sometimes feels very bad when they do have it and so on. But yeah, it just gets a little bit worse when like people are gonna be like, okay, I guess I can like avoid killing your thing this turn and just play my 5-drop and pass, and then you sit there with your 2 mana looking silly. So yeah, I know it wouldn't be the
I know it wouldn't be the pick here, but how do you feel about main decking?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Format? I don't always do it. Sometimes I combine it with the Myriad Avenge that's also in this pack.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's okay. I think maybe half the time I main deck it, especially like, if I need that sort of thing. If I have like not that many early plays or ways to deal with
or a little short on removal. Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's not really removal, but it can be sometimes. Yeah. And especially if I'm red in a pot draft, if I'm red and not blue or white, it's more likely that I'm playing against a blue or white player.
Yeah. Adrian and I were actually talking about that on a recent episode. That if you're in a pod and exactly what you said. That if you're not in those colors, then it's more likely that others in your pod are. So yeah, great. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at pack on pick 5. Hey, it's your best friend.
Yeah, that's my dear Zada. So yeah, that would it's definitely not on my mind right now. Zada is something you pick up when your draft is going poorly, and then you have this like, this way to just cheese wins. So you're bad.
Yeah, and then you just accidentally 3-0 your pod on the
yes, because my deck maybe wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but at least if I got as lucky as I did and drew my mana, the correct mana every time. Anyways, I think there's like only one really clear pick here. Like there's another Elderblade agent. This again, like it's not for sure that Nate will notice this. I can't count on that, but maybe he did like remember like kind of like the color of the card, and we'll see. Okay, so both the double face cards are missing from this pack, so like one of them is a black, and then that must be close to me, and so on. Someone else could have picked it up too, but hopefully this kind of like cements the whole like, okay, stay off black. Poor Nate here just takes the Edge Familiar out of this pack, so that that did not play out well, just because it's a correction.
Cool. Can you tell that Nate Stoyer guy to just pay attention a bit better?
Yeah, I really wish I could have.
He's kind of dropping the ball a bit. I mean, like he won Worlds and then he like top 8 of the last PT and then he won this PT, but like he's not paying attention in this draft. Like,
again, like he wasn't happy with this deck, and sometimes you just like lapse a bit and like don't. Yeah, you're not super focused every time. And yeah, that's okay.
Simon Nielsen roasts Nathan Stoyer. All right, got it. Next. All right, cool. All right, only one clear pick here. Talk to me about why we took Yargle and Multani.
Yeah, so the reason we took Yargle and Multani is because I think the artwork, like the front teeth, I think it really like speak to me. I can relate to that. I think personally, like having your spirit animal in your deck is very important. It helps you. It's scientifically proven that it helps you win die rolls 30% more of the time. So. Yeah, I think
if you ever flung an 18 power creature at Nathan Stoyer or Javier Dominguez at the Pro Tour on camera, you would overtake LSV as like the coolest play that's been done on camera.
I mean, I won't lie that I've dreamed about that. Don't get me wrong, but I've also stopped picking Yargle and Multani because it just never does anything. So what I am interested here, though, I mean, I saw the red signal earlier with the Ralph reinforcements. I know I'm black. I'm not really seeing that much blue. There's an assimilated essence here, which is definitely a consideration. But I'm looking at the juicy Yuri a little bit more, like valuing the signals that I get pick 4 over the signal I got pick 2, because that wasn't really a signal, right? There was just a rare missing. So I haven't gotten any specific blue signal. I did get a specific red signal. I know that I want to try and cement myself into black because I've kind of committed to that with the double face cards I've taken. So seeing Yuri here, I guess definitely kind of nice. I can pick this up and it's going to be good in my red black stack deck, which is an archetype that we really liked on our team. It was
great. Yeah. I've noticed that from a lot of the conversation we've had that you really quite highly rate that archetype. Can you talk to me a bit about a similar essence? I went from thinking this was like borderline unplayable to a card I'm actually happy to have multiple of. Am I overrating it?
If you're happy to have multiple in every blue deck, then yes, but in certain blue decks it does fit very well. It can be super good in blue-black. It's also blues 2-drops are pretty bad, so this is kind of a 2-drop in blue. It should be considered as such. It's just like, it's basically just like the power level of a solid 2-drop.
Great, okay, yeah, cool. That's interesting. It kind of makes it fit a little bit like make disappear when because there were no blue 2-drops in that set, and so make disappear was one of the best blue commons just because it was something you could do on turn 2. That's interesting. Yeah, cool. All right, pack on pick 7. Ooh, okay, we've got a bit of a gift here, it seems. Oh, actually, maybe 2 gifts. All right, talk to me about
3
this.
3 gifts even. Rayav is also very good.
Okay, yep.
And this is someone that, like, our team is considered to be pretty good, so that's also a signal. Nate could take it as a signal. I'm hoping right now that what's going... So the issue is that if I take Rager, I pass the Relic Reinforcements and Rayav.
Yeah.
There's no way that Nate doesn't see this as a signal, right? He will see that I'm signaling red. It's awkward to then take a red card. I don't think I can avoid that. We're just gonna have to share red, but then hopefully he knows. I know he's white. He knows I'm black. We can still work together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my plan. I'm thinking that, like, at this point, he has like the Quendy, he has like the Jaron has a red. He gets the Ray up now, and that I kind of cements him into blue white to red white. Is what I think is going on his side. He is just, yeah. I mean, he has just been picking like he picked Sunder the Gateway last time. He's just like picking like random black white commons to say the word friction on them, which is the exact way you're not supposed to draft black white. I mean, also kind of awkward red, but I'm happy to take the Rager here, following up the Yuri. I think like this is just a clear thumbs up from the rest of my table that like you can do this, Simon. We can let you have these cards, and I'll just pick them up. And Nate does take the Relic Reinforcements here, which again, like, that's not unreasonable. It makes sense to like read this as a signal. When I explained to him afterwards, like that this was when I picked the Rager, and he was like, "Oh, that makes sense." Like, that's really awkward for him because he thought that like he ends up moving into red black, and part of the reason is that he saw this reinforcements. But he is the issue is that he was like stuck on black being open, which just isn't. And he ends up not actually even playing the Elish Norn, so. Yeah,
that's right. He ends up abandoning the Elish Norn.
So yeah, this is definitely an unlucky pack for Nate, and also subsequently a little bit for me, because obviously he ends up getting some good cards in pack 2 that I would have liked to get, but with my final deck it didn't matter that much. Anyway, now the hard part of the draft is over. Now we just deck build.
Okay, cool. So let's go. Pack 1, pick 8. We're taking...
Oh, you want me to say? I thought you were gonna say.
Oh, okay. We're taking... Okay. Oh no, I'm gonna embarrass myself. This is terrible.
No, you're not.
So,
you're gonna pick the same card I picked.
I'd be on Hanger Scrounger.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good card. So we pick Hanger Scrounger, and we're happy.
Great.
And Nate gets his Invasion of Duke Capenna, and now he's a bit torn between the black-white and the red-black life.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Pack 1, pick 9. Ugh, I hate Searing Barb, but I would probably take it here.
Yes, I also took Searing Barb. If your draft ends up going poorly, you can put it in your red-black deck. It's only because I'm specifically red-black that I'm not dissing this. There's also the Cyber Cryptomancer here. I saw some people like highlight Invasion of Cerex as something that was kind of a signal that like should be picked earlier and shouldn't go around, and I disagree. This card is not very good. So. Oh,
interesting. Okay, I rate this one quite highly. You're not a fan?
No, again, we have like almost all the battles lower than most other people on our team. The issue is like Tristan Wilderoo put it very succinctly that like if you evaluate the battles as if they don't have a backside, you're pretty close to getting the evaluation right, which is a very aggressive way to rate them. But sometimes you just spend so much energy flipping them that like it's not always like that worth it. And the issue is that 4-mana bouncer creature is just not good. Whenever Invasion of Cerex works and you get everything right for it, it's very good. But, I mean, it's the PT. My opponent's gonna draft good decks. They're gonna not let me get away with that. So, we were not very high on this card.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. I guess, I liked it because it interacts with the creatures that could potentially block it. So you can... play it, bounce their only blocker, and then flip it immediately. At which point it's quite good.
Exactly,
but I hear you right.
If everything works out perfectly, it can be very good. But it's just too inconsistent.
Yeah.
You can still put it in your blue-white deck. It's not unplayable, but I think I've also caught it from blue-white decks before. If you have
interesting. Okay, great. Yeah, cool. All right, pack on pick 10.
Yeah, I'm just gonna mention this because it's kind of like, I like the urn. It just like helps set up a splash. Oh, I actually took the Myriad Avenged here. I think this is actually very possible that I noticed another urn earlier. I hadn't like mentioned this before, but I'm keeping an eye out for like potential cards that can wheel.
Yeah.
And so Myriad Avenged is a card I sometimes play in red black. Again, if you end up with like a poor version of it, you have the Rouse Reinforcements and so on. You have the Yuri. There's like certain combos with it. So
yeah,
it's not a bad sideboard card either.
Barb.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Here I'm really happy to pick up Ichor Shade. Yeah, this.
Yeah, great. Yep.
This late, just a very playable card. End up not playing it even because I had too many playables. Oh yeah, so here I think I take the Cliffs over the Urn or the Furnace Host Charger. You also can see how I just like don't value the land cycles that highly, but I do value picking up lands you can potentially splash because
100%.
Yeah, we're not afraid of splashing. This is a way you can prepare yourself for bombs, like taking the dual lands and the urns and so on, and the vehicle and the skittering surveyors. Like all these cards can also set you up for opening bombs later. And since we want it to be like low curve and have card draw, that is a pretty good spot for like putting an off-color 5-drop bomb in your deck. It's actually totally fine because it's not going to be too clunky.
Totally, yeah. The viewers and commenters on our channel are big fans of picking up the lands aggressively. So much so that we have LBRED is the new acronym for limited. After the usual limited resources bread, you take the lands first. Lands more important than anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cool.
Right, yeah, I think a Bane Split or whatever. Here. I'm not gonna play that.
My boy.
Yeah, it's gonna be actual last pick because I want that urn. I feel like I've earned that pick, and yeah, it just sets me up well to like splash and could potentially also be played in the deck just as like if my deck is bad, I can have it. Nate ended up playing it in his deck actually at the end in the main deck just as a removal spell. So sometimes you can do that.
He played the urn in his main deck, not the Yargle.
No, yeah, the urn, yes. Not this particular urn, he picked the one up from earlier, but yeah. He did end up getting a last pick Yargle and Motani. And you know what happened? He 2-0'd the draft and then split the finals.
Okay,
and that's only because he had the Spirit Animal, Yargle, and Multani in his deck. And this is the like strategy I just didn't see at the time here. Yeah,
I was about to say, can you just go get Nate and we can just have him on here instead? He's clearly way cooler.
To be fair, I didn't have a choice. So
that's true. Okay, I take it back.
All right, boy. Pack 2. We get to reveal double face cards, and I am so happy to see Shieldred.
Yeah.
I also, at this point, I'm feeling like great, right? Like, I feel like, okay, Nate, I know there wasn't that many white cards I passed you, but I feel like I've passed the ones that I've seen. I feel like even though it's been a bit of a rough one white, you should still be in white by now. Maybe white-red, that's okay, but you're gonna pass me the good black cards now. And I open a Shieldred, so like this is very well set up for a good time for me.
Yep, fantastic. Yep, cool. Nothing really to talk about here. That's a sick open.
Yes, no, there's something to talk about. Okay, two cards here that I really value in red black. 3 cards. There's also the Unseal. Not sure that wheels. That of course the dual land is worth noting. Like I'm keeping track of that.
Yes.
I'm keeping track of the Reid Duke, which I think is very good in red black. Because you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because you launch the boomstick, the Remotion Greatsword, and the black one with flash that gives indestructible. All these equipments are playable in red black because the black one is like it's a combat trick and then you can sacrifice it for value later. You want all these equipments in your red black deck anyway. Reid Duke is incredible in the deck because if it is equipped, you attack for 3 and then you sacrifice the 3/1 post combat because it never gets blocked. So you both deal damage and do your incremental plan. So this is one I really would like to wheel. There's also Ren's Resolve, which I really enjoy in red black decks because low curve velocity.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If you have something like Reid Duke in your deck, are you playing something like Mirren Bane Splitter? No,
that's the one I'm not doing. Unless
okay.
If I have maybe multiple Reid Dukes, I could maybe play one, but yeah. I did pick up one earlier, so I'm not gonna like think about that card for the rest of the draft. Like it's
great. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. All right. What do we got here? All right.
Yeah, at this point, my removal count is a little low, so I'm happy to see this Vanquish the Weak from Nate. Turns out that he picked a Stormclaw Rager out of this pack, which is kind of wild.
No. Yeah.
And that was kind of his, like, he said he felt forced into red-black from pack 2, which, from watching his draft, I don't think he was, but I could also see how he felt like the white was, like, not the best spot to be in from him. So it makes sense that he was feeling a bit shaky.
Yeah, I definitely, I could see that from both ways, but yeah, from watching his draft, I get how he felt a little bit railroaded.
Yeah, and it was only in pack 3 that he really got the good white stuff. So it's just like the situation of like pack 2 not being, well, actually, like we had like Javier and like Carl a bit further up the stream, like we're both white, passing like to me. So some of the white cards got swept up by those.
Yeah. Okay. So as powerful as Valduk is in the black red deck, it's just
yeah. No, I'm gonna wield the Valduk, and now I know.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I know that there's 2 Valduks coming potentially, which means I'm gonna value equipments higher than normal. Yeah.
You'll value them higher.
I will now value equipments higher than normal, because I know the Valduks are likely coming back. So let's say in pick 7, if I have the option of taking an equipment, I'll keep in mind that the Valduks are coming and make sure I get the equipment.
Yeah. Great. Okay, cool. All right, so let's keep moving. All right, pack 2, pick 3. So we got...
Yeah, we have a Stormblade Berserker. Yeah, I think this card is really good. Because it's a cheap card and it's velocity. It does both. So we just pick that and happily move on. Yep. Not knowing that Nate picked the Dead Iteration out of this pack underneath us. So
oh man, all your good work with
I did so much work. I really tried to turn to be black. But yeah. Well, that's,
that's very sad.
So
also sad is passing this.
Yeah, this is this one I think is pretty good. It's also like incredible splash in black white. So something you can consider. That's what Carl Sarap ended up drafting, was black white splash to corruption.
Nice, yeah. This is one of my favorite cards in the set at the moment, so I'm a big fan. Actually, if you go watch our, when's this video coming out? Go watch our last draft video. You'll see us do some fun things with that dear viewer. All right, cool. Let's keep moving. All right, pack 2, pick 4. We've acquired a win condition.
I do not need a win condition. I have good cards and my will and power. This is an interesting pick. There's the Nezumi Informant versus Unsealed Necropolis. Not considering the Gargantua at this point.
Oh wow, interesting.
It's not a cheap card. I don't want it. I would, if there was the other card to win in the pack, I would pick it. I sometimes would put it in my deck, but you can also cut it from your black deck. Like it's not super incredible.
Interesting. So is that a case of it's not particularly good in red black, or you actually don't think it's that good in say like a blue black control deck?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if your deck is just like has enough cheap cards, it's pretty good. But yeah, you just want to make sure you're not clunky. So.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. If your deck is not clunky, you are allowed to play the Gargantua. So.
Okay.
And then it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Yeah. So I think the Informant is a better card than the Unseal. I do have some sacrifice fodder with the Ralph Reinforcement, and the Yuri kind of is. I don't know, not sure. I think honestly, looking back at this, I think I should pick the Informant here. But I also had the 2 Elderblade Agents, right? So I have my 2 drops are like very well covered at the moment.
Yeah, these do tend to come around a little bit later
than the Informants. Yeah, they also. Another thing is that if I end up my draft and I don't have an Unsealed Necropolis, I'm more unhappy than if I don't have an Informant.
Right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So in the end, I decided to take the Unsealed. I also have it shielded right now. It's good to get back, but yeah, this pick I think is pretty close.
Yeah. Look, there's one thing you haven't considered here though, which is that if you get to 10 mana with Realmbreaker, you can go get your shielded.
It's very funny. I literally did not consider that, yes. You're right.
There we go. To the Pro Tour. All right, next. Okay, so we took the Informant.
Oh, we took the Unsealed Necropolis, yeah. Again, it's kind of a defensive pick, because in the future, like since I have my 2 drops covered-ish, I will have. Like I have 4 right now, and I'll probably get more. If I in the future have a pick between Unseal, and I'm missing it from my deck, and something else that's better, like I will now have the freedom to not have to pick Unseal later.
Yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, great.
Alright, so I saw that there was that Jim Davis opened Kenra's Spell Spear and Invasion of New Phyrexia, like right across from me. And I'm like, oh man, the Spell Spear is so far away and I'm never gonna get it.
Yeah.
And it snuck its way, even past Nathan, who now was like flirting with moving into red-black. From watching the draft, it seemed like he just like didn't see the card in the pack. Because he never even pulled it. He never even pulled it out. When I asked him afterwards, like, what did you take over the Spell Spear? He said there was a better card in the pack, but he took like some random bad black card. I think that wasn't very good. Oh no, he took a white. He took the like 2/2 lifelinker out of this pack.
Yeah, I remember watching him do that, and I saw there were a couple of other moments in the Pro Tour coverage where I saw things like that happen. And like I'm a massive fan of this card, and I got the impression that some of the Pro Tour players were not, but it sounds like you're right on.
Oh yeah, no, this card is incredible.
Yeah,
like one of the best uncommons. So
yes, yeah, cool.
Yeah, very very happy to see this. Also very happy to see 2 pieces of equipment.
Yep.
Potentially able to wield for my Valdok, so I'll keep that in mind. Won't take them right now because of course the Spell Spear is way too good, but again, this means like a 2-drop count is kind of like lining up here. I'm just like, I have my bomb, I have low curve, I'm starting to like get, some things that I can see reeling. I figure I'm in open colors. So I just like, I need a little bit of removal and interaction, and like then I think my deck is pretty well set already. Like, pick 2, pick 5 already feeling pretty happy with where I'm at.
Yep, this is looking great.
So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, then we get another solid 2-drop for the red-black deck in the Furnace Gremlin. So just happy to pick that up. Now I don't have to think about my curve at all. For the rest of the, I want some 1-drops though. I want my Scrap Chompers. I want my Icar.
You want your Scrap Chompers? Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
do you like the Furnace Gremlin outside red black?
It can be okay in like red white. You can put equipment on it. You can. It's like it can be if you need 2-drops in your blue red Convoke deck. Like it can do the job. It's not that good in other decks, but yeah. Okay. You shouldn't be afraid to sneak it in there.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Cool, we've got an eye on the Ica Shade, unlike a little wheel, but
potentially
this would be nice for us.
It could, yeah. But I'm also not, I already have one, so it's not for sure I'll play the second one.
Sure, yeah.
And again, it feels like my draft is coming together. I didn't spend very much time waffling between my colors. It seems like they were open, right? Like, so I think I'm gonna get there on playables. So I just need to feel, like, I'm just thinking about filling out holes and taking chances to fill out holes and setting myself up for, like, really good opportunities. Alright, here we have Corrupted Conviction. It's velocity, drawing through your deck. I'm just gonna really like this in red-black decks.
Great, okay. Is it a bit of a bummer to take it this early, so to speak? Because this is often in the last like 3 cards of the pack.
Yeah, I would be happy taking it like pick 5 or whatever. It's a good card.
Oh right, okay, great, okay, cool.
You don't need to take it as early in other parts. In our team in-house parts, like this card started that getting picked pretty early.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, because we just like all the card draw. So like it was impossible to get Meaning of Minds. Yeah, so this is Meaning of Minds light.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean both cost 1 mana. You just like have to like give up a 1/1, I guess, for this one. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. I mean, yeah, it's basically Ancestral Recall. I mean, yeah, I guess you would take Ancestral over Thragtusk. I think this makes sense. Okay, cool. Next pack. He's shaking his head at me now.
Oh, Scrap Chopper, let's go! But I just mentioned something really important. Right across from me, when we revealed double face cards, Jim Davis revealed Invasion of New Phyrexia.
Yeah.
The one that makes knights, X-Knights. How am I beating that card if I don't have Glistening Deluge?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I pick up the Deluge here over the Scrap Chomper.
That's
I don't have a guaranteed Boomtown Beat Stick for sure in my deck. That's the real combo with Scrap Chomper. You combine those two, like make treasures, you can sacrifice as well. But yeah, I take the Deluge here. I just want to make sure I have access to it. Turns out that I actually end up beating Jim Davis in round 1 with the one Glistening Deluge, killing like how many of his, like 10 of his creatures and none of mine.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it was nasty. Because I just like played the entire game, I just making a board stall, waiting for him to find the Invasion of New Phyrexia. He found it, cast it for X equals 6, and I was like, well, I got this ready for you. So yeah, that was that was very, very good. So this pick like won me a game for sure.
Yeah, great. Now I have to ask, Jim Davis, famous streamer, went 8-0 on day 1 of the PT, very accomplished player. Did he cast that Invasion of New Fire X if X equals 6. Was that on turn 4?
No, that was on turn 10. I don't know. Very late.
Oh, why didn't he do it on turn 4?
Wait, is this a reference to something?
Well, it's just that the draft punks have done that, and
Castle for X equals 6 on turn 4. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, that would have been. No, yeah, I mean, Jim went like 1-7 on day 2, so maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why. Okay, all right, maybe okay. 1 point draft punks, no points Jim Davis. Okay, great, cool. All right, Deluge, very sad, passing Chomper. Cool, looking good. All right, pack 2, pick 9.
So here's my opening pack here with Shielded Wheeling. And now I have the choice between the Rent Resolve and the Veldok.
Yeah.
2 cards are reconsidered.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't have a guaranteed equipment. I have like a pack where there's 2 equipments where I think one of them will wheel. But the thing is that I also have potentially a second Veldok coming around because I saw the Veldok earlier. This one wheeled. I'm starting to think it's less likely that Nate is red-white because he would probably take the Veldok here if it was. So I'm banking on wheeling the next Veldok, getting my Wrench Resolve, which I also really want for my deck. Just more velocity. And yes, that's the plan here. So I'm gonna take the Wrench Resolve here, pick up a Veldok next pack if I get it.
Yeah, okay. Is there an argument against Ren's Resolve because you've already picked up things like Corrupted Conviction, or is this just not something you can have enough of? You're just happy to have...
It's not enough. Yeah, you just like put a bunch of that stuff in your deck. There's a limit. There's a limit, of course, but the limit is not at 1 Conviction, 1 Resolve. Like, it is at 4.
Yeah. Okay. Can I get it in writing that there's no such thing as too much card advantage?
If you draft the cheap cards, then yes. That's the really important bit. If you draft your clunky like 5-drop Niv-Mizzet style decks, then absolutely you can have too many card draw. Because you're just gonna end with a bunch of cards you can't cast. So yes.
I was with you until you slandered my boy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, don't draft bad cards.
Now I'm sad. All right.
I was my intention, Sam. No, you can draft Niv. It's very fun. I definitely dreamt of doing it.
There we go. Yay!
I really want to like draft the actual Gigantha deck that just has all the like 5-color rares, because Gigantha just cast it by herself. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so we get our wish, we get our second Veldok in the next pack, and I think it's a pretty clear pick here.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like kind of as planned, and yeah, I'm really happy to see it here and things come together. Then hopefully I can get one of those equipments from that other pack here. It's a couple picks down though. So here I knew there was nothing.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that's whatever. I don't even know what I picked. I think I take Seed of Hope. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
you can have that Javier. He was in green-white. I pick a Castle Stepped God, not gonna put it in my deck. Whatever. Next one is the one I'm really like, okay, can we get an equipment? Like, are we that lucky? And here's a Beamstick. Like, it is insanely lucky to get Beamstick this late. It's so good.
That's unreal.
Yeah, so this is incredible. I mean, it like helps you splash as well sometimes with the treasures. It means like it opens up the opportunity for Aki's Grab Trumper to be picked, because like those go really well together. And it's an equipment for my Veldok. So very, very happy to see this. I would have also accepted a Great Sword, because that is a great sword.
It is a great sword, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's actually what Nate picked here over the Beach Stick. Which might make sense in his deck, because he was lacking a bit of power. Like his deck was looking kind of like timid, so...
yeah. So, I mean, this would be better for what you're trying to do, right?
I'm more happy with this. But I also do have like the Relic Reinforcement. I'm going to plan to pick up 1-drops, so Convoke cards are going to... I've got to make sure Convoke cards are good in my Red Black deck, and I do want Convoke cards, because that's also cheap cards, as long as you draft the other cheap cards.
Cool. All right, and we take...
Javelinier, and I guess this is technically a Convoke card, but this one doesn't really count.
Yeah, okay, great.
The Burning Century.
All right, pack 3.
Ooh, lucky Simon. I was looking for removal, and I mentioned like how good Convoke is going to be in the way I'm drafting here, so very happy to get the Pylon. Wouldn't have been unhappy to take Final Flourish, but of course Pylon is even better.
But I mean, you first picked Nezumi Freewheeler, surely you take another one here.
Well, the value drops a lot after the first pack, let me tell you that, because now it's no longer signaling anything. I don't mind having a second one. It's like, again, my curve is extremely low. I have 1 shielded, 1 freewheel. Those are my only things that cost more than 3 right now.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, great.
So I can definitely afford to do it. But of course I'm taking the pylon here. Noting here that there's a greatsword that could maybe wheel.
Yep, this is pretty great.
Yes.
How do you feel about the invasion of Lorwyn? I guess given the fact that you said you're not a huge fan of the battles and this is expensive, this
that's kind of it's kind of like a
thumbs down
of the question here. But I think the invasion of Lorwyn is totally fine. It can definitely be too much. Like it's kind of clunky. I've splashed a lot of times too, so you can definitely do it. Something about like the expensive invasions that kind of pay for themselves is that like. I mean, there's like a lot of upside if you flip this one. It's like a very different beast than the other ones. I definitely don't mind this. Because if you are these like rampy green decks, then you don't mind having 6 mana cards as much. But this is why we're actually pretty low on green in the first place, is that it kind of, like green just doesn't fit this whole paradigm of cheap cards velocity.
Yeah, okay.
It does something else, and so I think it's like pretty decent in green decks, but yeah, we were not too high on green decks.
Great. Okay, cool. All right. Ooh. Oh, wow. Wow.
What do you do?
Okay, so...
Nightmare and Stoke the Flames? I'm not going to take the Yuri here. I already have one, but I really want the removal. I don't know which one is better.
Wow, that's a
chat.
really
You can point out like your opinion here, what the best pick is. This is one of those decisions where I could like spend a long time trying to figure out what the best one is, but it also probably doesn't matter because both of them are so close. Collective Nightmare has the upside that it's cheaper. I can cast it, like it's only single color, so it's like you're less likely to be unable to cast it. And you can use it as a combat trick. Stoke the Flames obviously kills things that are slightly bigger, and it goes to the face.
Yes.
So I don't really know. I have a Wrench Resolve in my deck, which makes me lean towards the cheaper card. And it seems like I'm gonna be heavier black than red. So yeah, I took the Collective Nightmare here, but I feel like both options are equally good.
Yeah. Is there... I think you've obviously got a lot more experience with black-red than me. Is... how do I phrase this? Is it a particularly aggressive deck where the ability of Stoke to go face is
you can have aggressive draws because I'm trying to draft a low curve, but we're trying to extend the game. And I honestly think the ability of Nightmare to be a combat trick matters a lot because your guys are kind of smallish. So...
Yeah, and like you say, the fact that you're just prioritizing cheap and you got things like Wren's Resolve, I think, taking the cheap card there, that makes a lot of sense.
I'm not sure. So it can definitely matter that you go force to the face with Stoke, that for sure. Like combo kill people with Yuri and so on, right? So, but I don't think the deck is particularly aggressive.
Okay, yeah. Hey, that's another interesting one. Drop us a comment. What would you have taken here? Points if you disagree with the pro. Next pack. Simon. Look. You've got Beamtown Beatstick, so you make a bunch of treasures.
You know what would allow me to cast Invasion of Alara? If I pick up a treasure producer like Captain Lannery Storm.
You'll wheel this. Just take the invasion and wheel Lannery.
It's the other way around. No, I'm super happy to get Captain Lannery. It's like kind of like a second Beamstick, like for enabling the treasure stuff, which obviously like triggers like Yuri and some of my other sacrifice like stuff, and yeah, just like a solid card. So happy to take this here. I would have taken a good removal spell over her for sure. Like it's not like she's incredible, but it's definitely a very solid card. And so
I was taking her really highly early in the format until I realized it's actually quite difficult to get her to attack and survive.
You just give the Beatstick to her, and then she's like a menace.
There you go. Quite literally a menace. Yeah, nice. Cool. All right. Yeah. So that's a nice pickup there. Okay. Cool. All right. And we're gonna wheel that Invasion of Alara and stick it in our deck. Sick. Cool. This one looks pretty clear to me.
Yes. I want the interaction. I don't mind having an Invasion of Ascol in my red flag decks. It's of course not like clear cut interaction, but it definitely fills the role. And I don't have any battles yet, so I don't mind picking this.
Yep. And now I think we really want to prioritize fixing so that when we open Yorion, we can flicker our Invasion of Ascol.
This is pack 3.
We're hurting him. He's in pain. We'll get it. It's fine. Just, you got to have some faith. All right, next. Okay, so... Oh, it's your boy. Oh,
it is my
your other boy.
And the Dreadship too.
Which are the rats that we're taking? Dreadship, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. So
my reasoning here is that, again, I only have 1 4-drop, 1 5-drop. I can afford to take the freewheeler here, and so I will. It's pretty good, so just have that as your top end.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm happy to do that. I don't need the informant. I have like 6 2-drops right now.
Sure.
I don't have that many sacrifice outlets either, so I'm not really hungry for sacrifice fodder.
Yeah, I mean, this goes quite nicely with the freewheeler. Is that
It
relevant
does,
at all?
yeah, so you can take your opponents, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but-
you can just, yeah. That's the nice thing about freewheeler. It like rarely, it basically never lacks anything to get back.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. Yep, that makes good sense. All right.
Very happy I took the
two.
deluge earlier, because now I'm allowed to take the Ichor Drinker.
Sure, yeah.
And if you don't mind having a second deluge on my board, like, don't get me wrong, it can be extremely good. But I want, I just want like the cheap cards right now. I'm lacking 1-drops right now. I have like, what, 2 Convoke cards right now, potentially a Great Sword that's reeling. So I take the Ichor Drinker here.
Yeah. If you took the deluge, are you morally obliged to just like put a picture of a middle finger on your deck list when you hand it to Jim Davis?
If you look at the artwork, it basically looks like a middle finger if you squeeze. Yeah.
That's great. I love that. Cool.
So they already made this for me. Ooh, there's my second equipment. With Valdok, I really want 2 equipments, right? So there's a Great Sword for that. But there's also my boy Scrap Chomper. Again, I want 1-drops. Now I have 2 Treasure Producers.
Oh no.
Well, it's not that hard, because if we rewind just 5-ish minutes, or however long it's been going through this pack, I opened a Great Sword. Pack 3, pick 1. There's a Great Sword in the pack.
Of course.
I am aware of this, so I know the Great Swords are coming like around late in this draft. I can probably get the Great Sword, and I would really like a Scrap Chomper to kind of go with it as another deck. It's also like, if I get the Great Sword, there's like 3 Convoke cards in my deck, and so the 1-drop just matters.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I guess that kind of circles back nicely to what we were talking about in Pack 1 Pick 1 of Reid's draft, right? Where you're not memorizing every card in the pack, but you've got like a couple of key cards that you're really cognizant of and that
and I
you're
think
tracking
this
through the
particular draft, I do a better job of it than I like ever have, I think. Like, I just felt like so in the zone during this draft. And I talked about this earlier with like, me being tired and I can't focus on anything else. Like, I was just very, very focused on this. To the point where my eyes were hurting when we were done. But yeah, this is why I'm very proud of this draft. Looking back at the first couple picks, I think my reasonings might be a little bit off, but I do think I end up in a very good spot. We can like look at the rest here, and I'll catch up here.
Cool.
This is the pick I make wrong for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the Invasion of Mercadia.
Yes, that's also what I should have taken. This is too much battle hate. This card is actually pretty good. It is velocity as well. So I mean, not that I need it right now, but I don't mind it. And the Timuret, I actually picked it up knowing that I would put it in my sideboard. Because I have I just have too many playables. I'm not gonna put this in my deck. There's also a reason, like the Invasion of Mercadia probably also doesn't. It's gonna replace something good if I put it in my deck. But I thought that Timuret could be nice as a sideboard option against someone trying to do stuff with their graveyard. But it's kind of a loose thing. People don't really do that. A lot of stuff that works with the graveyard are like Unseal the Necropolis or like Behold the Multiverse, which don't really target. So yeah, it's not that good to just pick it up here. And I think I would rather have the Invasion of Mercadia. And end up losing to it actually against Nate. So that I just passed the Invasion to.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but one of the drafts that is on, I think it was day 1 in Reid's pod, had Timuret, and it completely dominated the game.
Yes, it can definitely do that. Yeah, like if you want, if you value the life gain too, if you, like your creature's gonna stick around so that it gets like more toughness, definitely can be. I also boarded it in during the draft. Like it definitely matters.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. But yeah, Mercadia is quite good.
But I did take the Timuret, yeah. And now we get the Great Sword back as planned. So I can happily pick that up. And now I feel like my deck is set. Like I got my Valdok with the 2 equipments. Got like a bunch of Convoke, curve super cheap. Like I'm just feeling like over the moon here. So now we just like, with the draft is done, now we can just, it's free play.
Yep. Cool. Take whatever.
So I take the Astral Wingspan, because like that would be cool to splash. Sure, I'm not gonna do it, but I have a Sway for the Cliffs. And you know what? Like we're like these packs, right? They're all stamped with like little stamps to like make sure that like we don't play cards that aren't from the draft. On this Invasion of Alara, there was a little heart stamp. So of course I couldn't pass that up. I'm gonna take the cute little heart stamped Alara.
Love it. And you're gonna play it in your deck because you've got so much treasure creation.
I'm not. No. But I'm gonna pick it.
Makes me so sad.
Just so I have it.
Do you have
It also, by the way, I'm just an aside on Invasion of Alara, like all jokes aside, some of these 5-color things are like pretty good. I think the Invasion is one of those that aren't actually that good. It's very cool to be able to cast it. Like just the next day I did a team draft after the PT where I ended up having a deck with like Ren and Realmbreaker and the Invasion of Alara and so on. And it's just like even if you can cast it, it's like I've heard multiple people beat it. Even if it's flipped, which is an issue. That should not happen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay, exactly. I've heard 2 different people say that like the opponent flipped the Invasion of Alara and they won the game anyway.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a problem. Yeah,
so,
sure.
Yeah, it's not actually that good. So it's cool to live the dream.
I certainly found that in Constructed. I tried this in Pioneer Niv, and I played it, and I flickered it with Yorion. It was terrible. So bad. So
it's all good. I've seen he play Martin though, so maybe he still has a chance.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I am picking the Invasion of Alara here, and then I'm picking random Teardrop for no reason because I'm not gonna play it. I should maybe just hate pick. It doesn't really matter.
Yep. I was gonna ask, does the do you have some sort of like emotional connection to some of the stamped cards that you've picked up at Pro Tours?
Yeah, I'm trying to like, especially like drafted like 3-0, I'll try and save the decks. Just so I have them.
Yeah. I know I've got a stamped Breeding Pool and stamped Hallowed Fountain that I picked up at a GP, and it just like, every time I see them in my hand, it's like, it's like way cooler than a foil or whatever. All right, rounding out the draft. Nothing too spicy.
Whatever.
Right.
Yeah, the draft is over now, so I was not hurting for anything. I'm feeling super content. Yeah.
Great. So we'll put a picture of the final deck up on screen now.
Yeah, I can talk a bit about that. I actually end up like I'm not playing Ichor Shade, the Hanger Scrounger, or I have a bunch of like just playable cards that I'm not running the second Etherblade Agent that I had in my pool that I like 5th picked.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm just hitting all my playables here. As you can see, like my deck looks super solid at this point. I'm very happy with this. Coverage was like mentioning my Aki Scrap Chompers is like, unfortunately you had to play this card. It's like, no, not unfortunately. No, I fought for that card. You know, I really wanted. But yeah, so I think actually the only thing is like playing the Furnace Gremlin. I think I actually should have realized that I don't have that many sack outlets, and maybe the second agent is actually better than the Gremlin. But outside of that, and outside of the invasion of Mercadia, which could have been in my pool and probably should have been in my deck, I'm feeling pretty happy with where I'm at here. It might have been a little bit of luck to get there with the strategy, because it's certainly a high risk strat, like with picking the double face cards, both in terms of like, what if I send a signal that I'm in a color that I'm then gonna get caught out of, and which didn't end up happening. I took the black double face cards and black was open enough. And the second thing is like also relying on Nate actually like remembering the double face cards, which he didn't. Because Nate also ended up in red black right next to me. It was so odd. Like I ended up beating Jim Davis in the first round, and where I also felt like I was like very focused. This is also still like I still haven't had breakfast at this point. I'm still extremely tired. After beating Jim on camera, I go and like grab a bagel from the players' lounge and like some yogurt and just like sit down and have a little bit of a meal. And that's when my mind says, okay, done for the day, bye. And so I'm playing as Nate, where I'm like, joking about like, oh, you have the Elish one. He's like, I actually did not end up playing it. And then when it dawns to me, I see his deck list and, oh, you also red black? I get to see his entire pool. And like, look at his thing, it's like, it doesn't seem that good. He has 2 deck iteration, which I guess is fine, but I count his playables like, Nate, you got 19 playables. Like, what's, what happened? I guess I know what happened, right? But, and he was not feeling great about it. Definitely, like, he thought that my deck was better than his. I think, like, either me or Carl had the best decks at the table, like looking at all of them. So very, very happy with how I drafted this, but against Nate, my brain just like went out the window. I punted like 4 times against him on camera, like mega punted. Like, I'll give you a thing -3/-3. Okay, I'll give it a counter with my onboard trick. Oh, right, you can do that. And yeah, stuff like that, right? They just not knowing that final flourish could like sacrifice artifacts and get my Nezumi free wheeler blown out. It was like a horror show. I'm not looking. I'm gonna watch the match soon. I'm not looking forward to it. And then against Javier, like similar things happened. Did try and pick myself up a bit, but still like not really in the zone. He of course played great and ended up 1-2 in the draft. Definitely happens. It's a PT. These I lost to 2 world champions, Nate and Javier.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I mean, I've never played at the Pro Tour, but I've played, some multi-day events, and if you haven't done that sort of thing before, it's astounding the just like psychological drain that it takes on you. Like you're playing Magic for 8-9 hours more on day one, and then you'd think you'd kind of reset overnight, but you often don't. Like you said, you got 4 hours sleep. I've had similar things at GPs. You're really like running on little sleep, little food. You're in a foreign city. Sometimes you're jet lagged. So it's, I always find it tough when the commentary is quite critical of the plays that we see on camera, because you guys are doing it in really tough circumstances.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think they really shade on me. I'll have to watch the match and see but I assume they're like, oh, that was an interesting play by Simon. The typical thing they say. But I ended up like 1-2 in the draft, feeling like completely demoralized. Javier then after our match, he came over and gave me a hug and tried to pick me up, and ended up like settling myself with the constructed rounds where I went 4-0, also beating Nate along the way to make the top 8, which was like an actual dream come true. Like for the last 12 years, I've dreamt of playing a top 8 match on camera. On a Pro Tour, and this is the first time it's actually happened, and it was an absolutely incredible experience. So even though this particular draft, in terms of gameplay, went poorly and only went 1-2, I do think my deck was very good. It highlights exactly what I want to be doing in the format, and I think it's like a very good draft of just highlighting just some solid theories here, and also some interesting things as well, like with the early picks, which were potentially a bit off, but we'll see.
That was absolutely fantastic. I just want to mention again that if you were as impressed as I am with that analysis that we just got to enjoy, Simon does offer one-on-one coaching through Metafy. So if you want to work on your own drafts, or if you want to go through some games to work on gameplay, or if you're more of a constructor player, so I know I've got a Pioneer RC coming up soon, and so I'm pretty likely to hit up Simon for some assistance leading up to that. I'll put a link in the description where you can go follow that and get in touch with Simon. And that'd be a great way to support him as well. And if you'd like to see him on the channel again, tough, because he's heard what we draft like, and he's never coming back again. But no, if you would love to see more of Simon, drop us some positive comments below. That'll make a big difference. It'll make a big difference to us. Great. Was there anything else you wanted to say before we wrap things up?
No, I just feel free to roast me in the comments. Maybe I'll read them and learn something new.
Oh, our commenters are not afraid to roast the hosts.
As they say.
Of course, the hosts are me and Adrian, but I'm sure that's not.
Okay, sorry. I'm gonna retract my statement. Feel free to roast Adrian in the comments.
Yeah. Yes. This I'm okay with. That sounds great. All right, cool. Let's wrap things up there, Simon. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a fantastic experience. I really hope we get to do this again. It was just fantastic to have that level of insight.
Yeah, it was very fun. Thank you.
Great. And to anyone that's new here, to anyone that stumbled onto our silly channel via advertising through pros, we do weekly draft videos. We kind of range from in-depth analytical stuff like we just saw to actually drafting Niv Mizzet, because Simon's not here to stop us. So please come join us. I try not to go on about spamming that subscribe button, but if you want to see more videos from us, that's the place to do it. I'm going to put some details that you can follow us up here. You can email us at the address that's on screen now. You can find us on Twitter, and you can find Simon on Twitter here as well. So you can find me at calm_mirror, and you can find Simon
at Mr. Checklist Card, spelled MR Checklist Card.
You can't follow Adrian because he didn't even show up for this video. You can follow the DraftPunks account if you want, but I'm a way better follow. And that'll do us. Now, Simon, I don't know if you know how we sign our videos off. So let's see how good you do. You do?
I don't know. No.
Oh, good. Okay, let's see how you do with this on the fly. Simon, can you tell me, do you know what they call a werewolf on YouTube?
Ooh. What did they call it? What do they call it? Werewolf on YouTube. I have no idea, Sam.
It's a like and subscribe.
I'm gonna sleep on that. I'll get it tomorrow, I promise.